So far, two.
Good evening. We're going to open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, everybody. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need to report on some actions taken in closed session. Reportable action was taken during closed session. The board voted 6 in favor, 1 abstention by virtue of 1 board member's absence, to approve the settlement case 255327 Zeta versus Santa Rosa City Schools. Another closed session item. I need a motion on resolution number 061 and 060.
So moved.
I'll move on 061 that we accept the stipulation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Director Carl?
Aye.
Director Gonzalez?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Close?
Aye.
Director Hanel?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Now I need a motion on 060.
Move approval of the recommendation of the panel.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Director Carl?
Aye.
Director Gonzalez?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Close? Director Hanel?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Okay, are there any statements of abstention? Any adjustments to the agenda? Yes, excuse me.
I'm going to pull E8 and E16, please.
Okay, E8 and 16, Director Carl. Any board member requests for information? Okay, now we move to approval of the minutes.
Move approval of the minutes of May 11th, 2016.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Director Carl?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Close?
Aye.
Director Hanel?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Gonzalez?
Aye.
Aye.
We're done.
Okay, now we have a very special presentation for our student board member who is actually going to be leaving us, but I want to read a few words from her, for her.
Turn it on and wait a couple seconds. It'll take a second.
Santa Rosa City School Board is extremely honored to acknowledge the year of contribution to the school board by student board member Taylor Wang. Taylor will be attending UC Berkeley in the fall, planning to double major in political science and computer science. She recently won Best in Class from the Asia Pacific Fund's Growing Up Asian in America contest and was a guest on KTSF Channel 8. She also won the Santa Rosa East Rotary Scholarship Award a few weeks ago and is also a winner in the Redwood Empire Chinese Association Annual Scholarship. And she will be speaking at graduation. As a student board member, Taylor has talked to students and teachers from all across the district and has gained a new outlook on community leadership as well as our current education system, and has realized that the future of our district and public education in general needs to adopt I'm very sorry. I made up two of these, Taylor. I should follow your example. You're totally organized. Okay. As a student board member, Taylor has talked to students and teachers from all across the district and has gained a new outlook on community leadership as well as our current education system, and has realized the future of our district and public education in general needs to adopt more interdisciplinary approaches, something she hopes to incorporate in her future as well. Taylor states that being the student board member has been an extremely formative experience overall. We're all very grateful to have Taylor as a member of our board for the past school year. And just a personal note, Taylor has really reached out to students. She's asked really spot-on questions of people and the board. And her presence here and her academic ability, she has the people skills and she has the thinking skills to do whatever she wants to do, and we're expecting great things from Taylor. So Taylor, awesome job.
How do we turn this on? Is it working? There we go. Okay. Oh, thank you. So I am honored to do this presentation tonight to thank and honor our 57 Santa Rosa City Schools employees that will be retiring this year. And when I got this list, I went through, and some I had known because I sign all these now in my new role, but I was going down the list and I was going, wow, some of these people I called teacher, coach, and then colleague, coworker, and some of these people have been in my life as a teacher and as a professional, so since 1983 to the present in my role in Santa Rosa City Schools. So I feel honored that I get to read the following statement. So on behalf of Santa Rosa City Schools, I'd like to thank you all for being here as we honor our retirees. Today we pay tribute to 57 individuals who have contributed a combined 1,296 years of expertise, time, and passion to our district. Their impact on lives of students, colleagues, and the community will be felt for a long time. We wish them well. We're envious that every day becomes Saturday. They're going to have new adventures, and we cannot be help but be sad by some of the people that are leaving because they've had an impact on our lives as teachers. So it's with profound respect and sincerity that we as a district say thank you to all these people on this list for making the lives of our students and our lives as professionals richer. So I would like all of you that are here, to please join us on June 1st between 3:30 and 4:30 as we do a very small thing for these people that have served our district for these 1,296 combined years. It's a long time. In the district boardroom, when we thank them with some cookies, some hugs, some refreshments, and some photo ops. So please join us on June 1st, and thank you to these 57 folks.
Thank you, Jason. We look forward to that. I have two, now we have time for public comments, and I have two speaker cards. And the first one is Peter Alexander. 3 minutes, Peter.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to add a thumbs up to Taylor. I was listening, and okay, I'll do a double thumbs up. And I'd like to remind all of us that in 1989, we remember in Tiananmen Square in China that one student stood up, put his hand up, and stopped 10 tanks. And I am certain beyond any shadow of any doubt that California students have the power to shut down the world banks. And it's always easy to attack and be negative towards any group. And one can say that we all know that this country has been dumbed down and this and that and the other, but the teachers have to do what they do, and maybe they did very well. I don't know for sure. But I do wonder about one particular thing, because I've asserted that a lot of the disease and cancer comes from the animal flesh industry intentionally and has since 1951, that why the teachers, just like the religions, somehow have not emphasized or taught at all that people like Gandhi and Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and Coretta Scott King and Dexter Scott King and the grandson of Malcolm X, Malcolm Shabazz, who spent 3 hours in Santa Rosa here 8 months before he was murdered in Mexico, we're all vegans. And that our famous Luther Burbank worked with plants, the most famous plant man in the universe. And the most famous cartoonist in the universe, Charles Schulz, portrayed the Peanuts gang all 55 years as vegans. It is because there are the deepest and most serious of spiritual reasons for this. And that, in fact, murder always did include the animals. And we're in the most blessed place to grow vegetables and fruits. So I want to share with you Rico, the black horse. Nicknamed Rico, he be the black horse. He's coming to bust us, delivering true justice as a matter of spiritual historical course. After all, a being of prophecy for you all to see. Truly, truly, I be an almighty horse. For long toiling under the banner of corruption, been constitutionally motivated attorneys, an almighty interruption, together with deep undercover veterans and cops. The fuse be the fire that we require, pulling out all the stops. There's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Dominoes are falling, so too collide. This has to do with a very beautiful part of the prophecy that unveils the corruptions with these royal interruptions. And I think that when we shut down the entire West Coast, we might consider someone like Cynthia McKinney, former Congresswoman, to be in the White House.
Thank you, Peter.
We could do a lot of wonderful things, just not
Need to
by the
wrap
way
it
it's
up,
going.
Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next speaker is Ivan Madriz Miguel. Ivan? Oh, there you are. Welcome, Ivan. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Ivan. I'm just here to say there will be School Plus, a fundraiser for Schools Plus. If you don't know what Schools Plus is, it's a program that donates money to schools. Last year, Schools Plus donated $232,000 to middle schools in 2015. It helps clubs, sports, arts, music, and drama. It gave Comstock the money to recreate the band. I was in the band and I actually got a new flute, and I felt good about it because it actually made me feel that the community actually wanted us to get better instruments and they actually cared for us to reintroduce our band. Those are just some of the things that Schools Plus does. On Saturday, June 18th, there will be a fundraiser hosted by Empire College. You donate money to play. You can contact Sophia at 707-235-4554 if you have any questions. Thank you very much, and there will be flyers on the table if any of you are interested.
Ivan, we appreciate your comments, and you're a living example of how Schools Plus benefits our students, so thank you. Now we have employee association reports. Ola, President of Santa Rosa Teachers Association. Welcome, Ola.
Good evening, Board. Larry, Acting President, Superintendent, and other board members. It's another Wednesday evening, and the gang's all here. The school year has come and gone, somewhat like lightning, striking with a loud booming sound, and showing us a variety of lights. As I reflect over the school year, I see big and small changes. Changes for the better. We have come from a dark place with little, if any, light, to a shining room of joyfulness. We have a stronger understanding of the words communication, commitment, teamwork, unity, united, and fairness. We are all moving in the right direction to work for the betterment of all students, teachers, administrators, and our district as a whole. With any form of change, we have a touch of stress, tension, and a lot of anticipation for all parties involved. I believe we have made a major stride with our two negotiating teams. They are working together for a common goal, which is to make teaching in this district a pleasurable experience with a strong support system for all stakeholders. We know next year will open the doors for benefits and salary with the governor's May revision and the passage of Prop 30, which is the children health and education component. We should see lots of money coming in our direction. We know there will be plenty of support for all of us who's working for the district. And we hope that you too will find in your hearts the right thing. Keep us here, highly qualified and highly motivated. With a new leader at the helm of the big office, we see an open door policy, a kindness toward all, a willingness and openness we haven't seen in a long time. We now have team committees from SRTA and Santa Rosa City DO. And their goal is also geared towards the betterment of all. Our goal for the next year centers around the positive energy that all will bring to the table. If we all just take a moment to read or listen to the famous words of one of my famous singers, Diana Ross, just reach out and touch. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this place a better place if you can. Take a moment, just a moment in time. Take a little time out of your busy day to give encouragement to someone who's lost the way. Or would I be talking to a stone if I asked you to share a problem that's not your own? We change things if we start giving. Why don't we all reach out and touch somebody's hand? On behalf of my colleagues back there, great, super great bunch of people, we say thank you, and we so look forward to working with you next year.
Thank you, Ola. Now we have Tammy Alfonso, President of California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 75. Tammy? Is Tammy here tonight? Okay,
Tammy is at another meeting. I'm over here.
all right.
But in her place, I'd like to ask the board if we can take a moment of silence. We just lost a colleague from CREO last week, Deb Myers. Is that possible?
That's absolutely possible. Let's take now a moment of silence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ola.
Thank you.
Now we go to the superintendent report.
Good evening, everybody. I can't believe we're at the end of the school year. It has gone by so fast. There's a flurry of activities, promotions, and the upcoming high school graduations. So I'm looking forward to all of those events. Just a couple of things I wanted to share. Our extended learning for this summer is going strong. In the 3 years that I've been here, it continues to grow each year. We have over 900 plus applicants for summer school. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of extra learning that'll take place at the secondary level. At the elementary level, we're well over 500. So again, many of our students receiving extended learning during the summer, and it's a testament to the district and all the staff willing to serve during the summer. So I appreciate that. Just some of the examples of elementary migrant education, mariachi, ESY, which is special education extended services, a maker camp, MOVE, and then the high school program. So that's wonderful. Just wanted to let you know, too, that we will be holding a prospective board members workshop on June 21st. We have some election coming up in November, and so you'll see more information about that, and we actually have some flyers here if anybody would like to pick those up. I attended my first Rose Parade last Saturday, and it was awesome to be able to see our schools participate and music being played by all the different schools and the marching. It was just, it, of course, warmed my heart, and I loved it and took pictures of everybody. So thank you to all the staff who make that happen, because I know it's not a simple thing to have all the kids there and have them perform in the way that they did. And finally, as I always do, I end with a student, and actually, you actually saw this student, and that was Ivan, who was here, along with his, Alejandro. So if you remember, they attended a board meeting a few meetings back, and they spoke about ethnic studies. and Director Pugh suggested, why not we meet? And so I actually went out to Comstock, and thanks to Kathy Shanklin, who provided a wonderful lunch, look at that spread up there, I had the opportunity to sit down and speak with Ivan and Alejandro about why they think ethnic studies is important, who they think would take the class, and then we talked a little bit about their future plans. That's what it's about, right there. That's what it's about. So that's my report for tonight.
Thank you. Now we have the board committee reports, and Donna Jay's out of town, so I'm going to give the report. It was really much of what Ola just said. We reviewed what we did last year. We reviewed all the common problems that were looked at. We talked about how the committees are working. Just at the last board meeting, we had the textbook committee come to us, and it really was a committee that this is the problem, and then through facilitation of the leader, everybody gets to be heard, and they came up with a great strategy for ordering textbooks and the process that they're going to do it. And that's the ongoing work of the district, is that all the problems are going to be discussed with the constituencies, namely the teachers and the staff, and that we work on our problems together, we solve solutions together, and through collaboration and hard work, we can address the issues that our district is, that we are facing. Is there anything to add to that? Nope. Okay. So now we have, it says board president's report. I'm just going to take mine as a board member report. So why don't we have board member reports? And you want to start, Ron?
I visited a few schools, but I would like to recognize Santa Rosa High School for such a fine job at the Country Fair Day last Friday, and an annual event that has continued the tradition of a very eclectic school where I got to pet a goat and see some pretty cool cars and eat barbecue that upset my tummy a little bit. But anyway, it's a great group of people that put that together, Art Horner and many others that are involved in doing that, and it really does bring a lot of people together, retired teachers, members of the community, and I laud you for it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Jen?
Okay, yeah, I got to take a day and visit schools last week and spent some time at Helen Lehman and saw a first grade class and a fifth grade class and hung out at recess and talked to also played a little basketball with the kids, which was fun, and they're especially impressed that I could play in my heels, as was I. So I was glad I didn't sprain an ankle or something. It would be a bad way to start the day. I was really impressed with the enthusiasm of the Lehman teachers still around the GLAD program. And I also really enjoyed talking to the office staff who are so engaged in every part of the aspect of the school there and making sure that the kids are getting a good education and interacting with parents. I was just very impressed with that staff. And then I went to Slater where I did like a whirlwind tour and saw what I found out was our last remaining woodshop class. I didn't know we only have one, which is concerning, but those kids were real engaged in that. And an SDC class that seemed to be going great, and they love their service animals in there, and that seemed to be a really positive thing. And then was especially impressed with the leadership class there at Slater, and their philanthropic efforts, which as I was walking out, our local PD reporter, Eloisa Gonzalez, was walking in to interview those same students and wrote a great story about them. So if you didn't see that in the PD, you should check it out, because those are some pretty impressive kids. And then went to Montgomery, where I had a great talk with Principal Fong. And and the other thing I love at Slater, and I don't know if you're driving by Slater, you should walk around. The kids have decorated the whole place with these positive messages all around, all through the halls that they've come up with themselves. And they're so cool. And I guess they've been there all year, and I love that. So at Montgomery, had a great meeting with teachers and heard some of their concerns, and that was good. And then I got to have a good conversation with the senior English class about what they thought about San Francisco's measure that's going on the election this November about letting 16-year-olds and up vote in local elections, which I think would be great here. I don't know about you, but I think our students should get to vote for school board members and city council members. They're affected by them, and they're pretty smart kids. So they were less confident in themselves, I have to say, but I think they would do all right. Just the fact that they were less confident actually gave me some hope. You know, we adults sometimes are more confident than we should be in our choices for elected offices, probably. Then today, one of my favorite things that I've done for a few years now is gone to Elsie to grade the ag mechanics assignments, and that was really fun and really impressive. They were impressive kids, and the teacher there, Grant Ermis, who we're unfortunately going to lose this year, is just fantastic. I love to see teachers doing what they do because they're real impressive. And then last week I sat on a SCO panel for prospective board members, and there were not enough people there, so I hope that more people come to the one that our district is hosting.
Thank you very much. I do 26-2, which is a program we run in our elementary schools, plus it's run throughout Sonoma County. We received 9,686 shirts, which we counted over 2 days. We had to count each shirt in the box and divide them up as to by schools. And that's always fun because the teachers you talk to, the elementary teachers, everyone I've talked to loves that program. I do 26-2. It's where students actually get rewarded for walking or running 26.2 miles, and it starts all the way down in the kindergarten. They do half the distance, and then the other grades do the 26.2. I also went to Comstock and greeted the Comstock employees. There must have been at least 100 of them there, and they spent from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon really beautifying the campus, and they did an amazing job. They spread bark all around, they did some painting, and that campus has a brand new shine to it, so thank you to them. I visited Monroe and Comstock, had a talk with the principal, and also had lunch with the teachers, and I had a really great conversation with the teachers. They pretty much saying what Ola is saying. They're very pleased with the direction and how we're working together to solve problems. Also, all the board attended, with the exception of one who couldn't make it, in 3 hours of a special session on equity led by the same person who took us to the Museum of Tolerance. So that was a very good session also, as we discussed how we can close that achievement gap and how it can be done together. And that's my report. Visiting Arts Charter tomorrow. Frank.
Great. Visited some school sites, but I have to tell you, I really enjoyed my evening visitation at Montgomery High School for the digital media program and their presentation. I really enjoyed it. And I thought it's always curious to see what is in the minds of high school students. Sometimes it's a little scary, but it was very entertaining. And I also participated in Leadership Santa Rosa's Education Day, which took place, I think, about a week and a half ago. Thank you.
No report this week.
No report.
Okay. CSBA and SBA report. Frank.
No report tonight.
Okay.
We have a full agenda, it looks like.
All right. Consent items. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of items E1 through 7 and 9 through 15.
Second.
Board vote, please.
Dr. Carl?
Aye.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Dr. Christoph?
Aye.
Dr. Close?
Aye.
Dr. Hanel?
Aye.
Dr. Pugh?
Aye.
Okay, what are the ones we pulled, Bill?
E8, it's the first one. E8 is the interscholastic representatives. We have to fill out a form and send it in. The blue portion of the form indicates a specific position, not a name, but then you go to the white one, every single one has 3 different positions, so I'm unclear who is taking what positions and whether we're doing this right. It doesn't add up to me, so I'm not sure if we've got it right.
Yes, it's my understanding that the reason those positions are all different is because they leave kind of a general description of what the positions are. You mean like where it says AP or principal or vice
Yeah.
principal?
On the blue section, we're saying that, that at Maria Carrillo, it's the assistant principal, at Montgomery High, it's the principal, at Santa Rosa High, it's the principal, Elsie Island is AP, and Pioneer is AP. But then we go to the form that sends it in, it says, and it lists name of representative, and every one says principal, assistant principal, AD, and then under position, we don't put anything. So it's unclear to me what we're doing.
I think the reason that it was put that way was because those positions, it doesn't have to be exactly that position. It's really more of a kind of a general description of who's going to be in that position, because it could be an AP or it could be a principal.
So when they, on the CIF form, when it says name of representative, and then after it says position, we don't have to put a name in there.
I don't think we have to put a name there.
We
I
don't.
think we have, it's really, this form is a formality, it's my understanding.
Yeah. I just have a vague recollection, as Frank does as well, that in the past, we've actually had a name that's been put in each one of those. And so,
Well,
you guys,
Sure.
if it gets kicked back, we'll deal with it. But for the board's purposes, we don't actually know who the rep is from any of those schools either.
And we do have a list of people that are in the positions that said yes, like I think from LC, I believe it's Casey Thornhill
Okay.
who's going to be in that position.
Can we
So
just- can
would
we
you like
just-
for us to bring back the list of?
No, because I don't know what your timing is with respect to it. You guys do whatever needs to be done administratively. I'm okay with that. Just get us a list, just as an informational item as to who the rep is. It's nice to have that.
Okay, sure.
Okay, cool.
Be happy to.
Thanks. Move approval of item E8.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the call.
Carl and
Carl and
Frank.
Thank you. Dr. Carl?
Aye.
Dr. Pugh?
Aye.
Dr. Christoph?
Aye.
Dr. Close?
Aye.
Dr. Hanel?
Aye.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
And then on item E16, this is a number of change orders related to Santa Rosa Charter Schools for the Arts. I noted that item 13 was emergency repair of the existing water service. The water service was incorrectly marked by USA and not shown on the contract documents, and that cost us $6,236. Do we have any recourse against USA to say, wait a second, you didn't do your job and we're having to spend $6,236?
Yes.
I do not know if we have any recourse.
Could we look at, we're not, obviously, resolve it tonight, but it would be nice to look, this is the one that I looked at, I thought, somebody looked like they were responsible for it. And we're having to pick up a cost in the bond money that maybe we don't have to pick up. So if staff could look into whether there's some recourse there or not. There may be an indemnification from USA that says that we come out and we mark it. If we don't mark it, then you don't have anything against us, but let's at least check it out.
We'll review that and follow through or follow up on that.
That'd be great. I'll move approval of item E16.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote.
Dr. Carl?
Aye.
Dr. Pugh?
Aye.
Dr. Christoph?
Aye.
Dr. Close?
Aye.
Dr. Hanel?
Aye.
Dr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Okay, that ends consent items. Now we move to F1, review of Compact for Success University Center. Come on down. Okay. Before we get started, where's Ross Thornston? Ross? We have a student from Pioneer High School. We just wanted to say welcome. This is our new student. Come on up. And why don't you just maybe go down and we'll shake each one of our hands. We are delighted to have you, Ross, and he's going to replace our student board member that's leaving us. Okay, now we have our panel. Go ahead.
F1.
F1.
Thank you, Vice President Hanel, members of the board, and Superintendent Kitamura. This evening, we have a review of two programs that are from Elsie Allen High School and also Lawrence Cook Middle School. The programs are called Compact for Success and the University Center at Elsie Allen High School. And I'm going to introduce the people that are going to be talking this evening with me. And the first is Mary Gail Stabline. She's the principal of the school, as you know. We have Dr. Carlos Ayala. Thank you for being here. We have Jenny Flesher, who is the coordinator for the University Center program. We have two students that are with us and one student on video. The student on video is Kathia Opralana, and our two students who are here this evening with us are Martine Figueroa and Leslie Bradley. And both of these students are from Elsie Allen High School and from the University Center, and they're going to say a little bit about their experience. And Compact for Success, yes. So anyway, we're going to just get started here. So Principal Stabline is going to talk a little bit about the two programs.
Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. I do want to turn the microphone over very quickly to Dr. Ayala, the Dean of Education at Sonoma State University, to talk about our partnership. University Center came into existence 11 years ago, and Compact for Success is in its 5th year, starting with 7th graders at Lawrence Cook Middle School. So Dr. Ayala?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be here again. On behalf of Dr. Armiñana, President, you know he's retiring, she's leaving July 1st. Judy Sakaki coming in July 1st. I just want to thank your efforts in collaborating with us on these two very important programs. We, as a California State University, we are here to serve our local area community and collaborate closely with the school districts in our region to bring success to all students. And these two programs we have here, both the Compact for Success and the University Center program, these are evidence-based programs. We know they're successful. They're being implemented across the state. And so it's an honor being here representing Sonoma State University. You'll hear about the details of the program. I don't need to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ayala. We'll go on to the next slide. In Compact for Success, students start in 7th grade at Lawrence Cook Middle School. They matriculate to Elsie Allen High School and are able to earn guaranteed admission to Sonoma State University. While at Elsie Allen, students in the Compact for Success could qualify for the University Center program. So you see the bigger circle represents the 7th through 12th graders, and then the inner circle is representative of the University Center. So students could be in both programs. Next slide. What I want you to know about the Compact for Success is that supports have been available to students to help them succeed, including AVID, a coordinator to oversee the program, an after-school tutorial, and an intervention team that focuses on the students. Some of the partners that have been at the table for the intervention team include 10,000 Degrees, Upward Bound, of course their academic counselor, the College and Career Center counselor, and of course University Center coordinator. We're very thankful to Sonoma State college mentors who facilitated workshops while our 10th graders visited the campus. And if you note that there's a quote from a student, which really impressed me. This young man was very moved by his experience at Sonoma State. He says, "Thank you for having us at your campus and giving us the opportunity to learn more about college. I really like the self-esteem workshop." This is from a young man who's a 10th grader. "It gave me the boost that I needed." I just love that because that's what it did. Thank you. Once again, thank you. Students really see their future when they're on that campus. And again, the college mentors are the sorority and fraternity young women who are dressed very professionally. The girls and the boys are separated, and they talk about different things, about how to get to college, what to expect in college, and they give them a workshop on self-esteem. So really wonderfully done. So thank you, Sonoma State, for providing that. It takes a lot of effort to facilitate and organize that. And I know Leslie has been participating in that when you were a 10th grader last year. Over the next few years, we anticipate that students attending Sonoma State University or other four-year universities will increase. And this is the anticipation slide. For that, we based it on 250 students in a class. And now we'll move on to the University Center. Ms. Fleischer, who's the coordinator.
Thank you. Good evening. Now in its 11th year, the UC program at LC Allen is going strong. Our first slide outlines the demanding and rigorous requirements for the students in the program, in addition to meeting their A through G requirements with a minimum grade point average of a 3.0 and no grade lower than a C. Students in our program must take at least 2 AP or honors courses every semester in high school. Most of them exceed those minimum requirements by leaps and bounds. The next slide. This year, the class of 2016 will be the 9th class of seniors to graduate from the UC program. Our alumni have attended and graduated from universities across the nation and internationally, meaning McGill in Canada. Some of our graduates are doing really interesting things. 2 are teachers from Sonoma State's credential program. 1 is an artist in residence at Harvard. 1 invented a motorized unicycle at MIT. And 1 is spending her senior year at Cal studying abroad in her country of origin, which is India. Although our enrollment has remained fairly constant at about 100 students program-wide for the past several years, the percentage of students successfully completing the program and going directly to a 4-year college has increased significantly over the past 3 years, which you can see in the slide. And I also think it's really important to note, I think we'll go one back. That's okay. It's important to note from the second table on that slide that the demographics of our program closely reflect the demographic makeup of our school student population. Enrollment at Sonoma State, particularly during the fall semester each year, has increased over the past 3 years. We recently completed registration for fall 2016, and we have the largest number of students ever taking classes at SSU next fall. So I think the best way for you to hear about our program is the impact that it has directly on 2 of our finest students who are both in 11th grade at LC Allen in the University Center program and in Compact for Success. I'd like to start by introducing Leslie Bradley, and then she'll be followed by Martine Figueroa.
Go ahead.
Oh, we are. Oh, we were going to stand to be corrected.
We want to hear from the middle school student first that's on video. Yeah. Her principal, Lindsay Gannon, and the student, Kathia, couldn't be here this evening because they have some big events going on at the school.
So while she's getting that set up, I wanted to just on this slide about the cost associated with the programs. I also wanted to make a note that we're very thankful for the support of our newly formed LC Allen High School Foundation. This year they awarded $46,000 in scholarships to students in the University Center program and our students that are graduating this year. And they're also looking into an idea of doing multi-year funded pledges. So in other words, a student that's graduated is going on to their first year of college, and maybe they can apply again for that second year of college, because that's a challenge in keeping them connected and staying at the four-year university. So they're looking into how they might be able to fund that. So we're really thankful to the foundation. Mr. Tamayo couldn't make it tonight, but he wanted me to say nice things about the foundation. So that's what I'm doing. They're absolutely incredible.
Okay, here is Kathia Orellana.
My name is Katia Orellana, and I'm the leadership president at Lawrence Cook Middle School. One of the many programs Cook benefits from is the Compact for Success. The Compact for Success works with Elsie Allen High School to give students the opportunity to go to college. It works this way. If you have a cumulative 3.0 GPA or higher when you promote from Cook and graduate from Elsie Allen, you have an automatic seat at Sonoma State University. Last year, the 8th graders took a trip to Sonoma State, and I enjoyed the experience. It made the dream of someday attending college more concrete and obtainable. My ultimate goal for the future is to earn a doctorate in pediatric medicine from Stanford University and practice medicine. I am lucky enough to come from an extremely supportive family, and as the first person in my family to go to college in the United States, they are excited and grateful to have such a great program at our school. About 2 or 3 months ago, I received a letter in the mail saying I was accepted to the University Center program at Elsie Allen. The UC program is almost like an extended arm of the Compact for Success. It supports and guides students to attend university and attend placement and advanced placement courses, and provides a space to meet with other like-minded students. With the UC program, I look forward to gaining a better understanding of the transition to college and receiving the needed support to obtain my success. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Good evening. My name is Katia Orellana, and I'm the leadership.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Leslie Bradley. I'm a junior at Elsie Allen High School. I'm also a first-generation Latina and African-American college student. I'm here today to talk about my pathway to college. This story begins at Lawrence Cook Middle School, my 7th grade year. Miss Stabline visited us, telling me that I could eventually go to college. If I were to continue at Lawrence Cook Middle School, graduate from Elsie Allen High School with superb grades, that I have a guaranteed spot at Sonoma State University. I made sure that I would take upon this opportunity through my educational career. Through this program, I have become familiar with the campus from both field trips and, like Ms. Stabline said, the workshops. Along with this, I am a part of Upward Bound, also held at SSU. This is a preparatory college program where students get support to pursue the four-year college of our dreams. The final program that I participate in is the University Center. As you heard before, we are expected to maintain a grade point average of 3.0 and are expected to take rigorous AP and honors classes at Elsie Allen. Once junior and senior year begin, we are expected to enter the early entrant program at SSU. This year, I have taken astronomy and psychology. Because of this, I am able to have a foundation of what to expect in my later college years. I have found a group of support where I am motivated and determined to succeed at the best of my abilities in anything I put my mind to. I have decided through this program to pursue a major in the STEM field. I would also like to add that since high school has started, I have maintained a 4.0 and above through this program, thanks to the support of the UC program. A small group of us have grown up together, becoming more and more successful each year. I am thankful to both Ms. Stabline and Ms. Fleischer for allowing me to participate in these programs. Being in the first group of Compact for Success students, and being in the UC Center has given me the confidence to complete the steps I need to take to apply to the UC CSUs, such as SSU, and private schools next year. I will be entering college with a full semester of college credit completed once senior year is over. I would like to formally thank Sonoma State and Santa Rosa City Schools for these amazing opportunities you have granted me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, family, for being here. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. So sweet.
Hi. Hello, my name is Martin Figueroa, junior at Elsie Allen High School. I moved here 2 years ago from a STEM magnet high school in Los Angeles. And when I moved, I had no idea as to where my future was headed. I had no more friends, I had a brand new family, and I had no mentors I could really relate to. It was freshman year when I was sitting in chemistry when I spoke with our UC coordinator, and she told me I was more than qualified to be part of the UC program, and that she was happy to have me aboard. From there, I can genuinely say that my life had definitely changed. I finally had friends to talk to, I had a community. We would go to Sonoma State together and take classes like astronomy and critical thinking. We would tour campuses like UC Davis and Stanford and SF State together as a group, strengthening our friendship. With these students, I had the confidence to take 4 AP classes because I knew whenever I had trouble, I would always have support. And when they needed support, I'd be there for them. This summer, I'm going to the Bucks Institute in Novato for an internship program. The application process was made easy with the help of my friends, mentors, and coordinators. I will be working 8 hours a day with scientists dedicated to studying the aging process and solving diseases such as strokes, Alzheimer's, and dementia. This is an incredible opportunity, and if it were not for the UC program, I would never have found out about this at all. And for this, I am truly grateful. Next year, I shall apply to a large variety of colleges. Some colleges include Sonoma State, many of the UCs, and even some privates like Caltech. I will spend my senior year taking even more classes at Sonoma State, such as computer science and sociology, allowing me to gain new college opportunities and experiences, and to speak to even more college students and professors, which I believe is truly valuable. If it were not for this program, I would definitely not be the same person I am today, and I truly believe that this program was a stepping stone for my future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, students. We really appreciate hearing from you. Hearing from students is always the best part of these meetings, right? I want to just go to the costs associated slide just to say there's one thing we needed to add, which was the $5,000 budget for the University Center at Elsie Allen High School, and that covers costs for the field trips and marketing and anything that's part of the branding or marketing of the program, and sweatshirts and that sort of thing, SAT prep books for the students, SSU stoles for graduation, those are about $30 a piece. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention that that piece was left off of this slide. So to finish, we just are thoughtful about the 2 programs and the things that we think are valuable, that you know, we know are valuable, that these are helping to close the achievement gap, serve the underserved, and pave the way to the future. There are a number of concerns that we have listed below, or below the, at the lower part of the slide, and we think these concerns warrant future discussion. So we're going to leave it with you at that, and if you have questions, but the way we think about these programs is that they lead to success for the students that participate. Thank you.
Thank you, and now we have questions or comments from the board. Ron.
I want to thank the panel for your very nice presentation, and I do want to go back to prior boards before I came on board. This is, people were prescient in terms of seeing the future. This has been in the works for a long time, and it obviously is a successful program. And we've had a forward-thinking board about this. Both the Compact for Success and the University Center are, to me, programs that are models.
I would like to see us grow those programs. I know as a part of our LCAP, we are putting a realistic kind of a number or percentage on trying to grow them. I know it's not easy, demographics and population shift, but they are surely programs worthy of looking at, exploring how we could, get more people in, get more people into Sonoma State. And Dr. Ayala, I want to thank you very much. Our relationship, our partnership with Sonoma State is invaluable, and I think we are in a very, very unique position because of the university, because of you, and because of your department. And I hope to continue to see us grow and develop our partnerships. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Bill?
Thanks. First of all, I appreciate the students coming down. I don't know if you're in the middle of finals week or what you guys are up to right now, but appreciate you taking the time to come down here. And as was stated, no question, this makes it the best part of meetings is to see, you see students come down and see the impact that it's had on you. We make decisions about these kinds of things, as Ron said, many, many years ago, with a hope and a prayer that it would have some impact. And when we see students, we know that it had impact. And particularly the two of you. Well-spoken, well-stated, and pretty exciting. So thank you. And I'd like to also echo Ron's comments with respect to SSU. The relationship is a true community relationship. And your comments, Dr. Ayala, about the fact that the school is there to serve the community as a whole. It's not just a college, it is a community asset. And the vision that is there about developing kids that will then become students at SSU was a critical aspect of that. Reaching down into the community and saying that's the relationship we want to drive these students to that opportunity was really critical, and we very much appreciate that. I'm excited about the Compact for Success enrollment projections. The concept that out of LC Allen, 8 to 10% of the students would be eligible for college, for instance, this year, but with what's been happening, that will close to double next year, and that within a couple of 3 years, we could be as high as 60% eligible for a 4-year. Doesn't mean they'll do it, and one of the great things about this program and any program that we've got is that it's opening opportunities. It's allowing the students to have the choice to do something as opposed to that choice having been made for them early on in their careers. And that's I think the real crux change that is occurring here. The adults aren't making those decisions for students in 7th and 8th grade. They're opening up the opportunities for students in 7th and 8th grade and even lower than that, and I think that's a really big deal. So it's exciting. It's probably the most exciting program that I can recall for such a long period of time here because of the direct impact it has on students that otherwise might not have even thought about what possibilities they have. And that gives you a lot of hope despite the presidential election for the future. So you guys are the ones that we are counting on. So we're excited. Thank you.
Jen?
Yeah, I would first of all just echo the comments that have already been made about the strength of this partnership, and thanks Sonoma State for them being such a great community partner. And I really am impressed that we were smart enough, someone was, not we, to start early, because one of the really critical comments I thought here were from the kids was from Leslie Bradley. She started her presentation with, Principal Stabline came to my school and said, I had a possibility of going to college. That was the first thing. And obviously there's a whole lot of work after that, right? A whole lot of work. But that was like the germ, and you're right, this is possible for me. And so now I'm going to be a first-generation college-going student. And so it started with, this is possible. So I really think it's so important to continue strengthening the Compact for Success aspect of this and to really start early. And then I also was impressed by both students' discussion about how it's become a real personal community for you. Because that's more than just, scheduling certain classes that have certain requirements. That certainly speaks to the efforts of the staff and the teachers who are involved in this program, and that you've created this great community for the kids that helps them be successful.
All right, Frank?
Thank you. Great presentation. Anytime we can see the benefits to our students firsthand out of their own mouths are wonderful. Great presentation. I would just like to know if there's anything the board can do to strengthen our relationship with the new president of the university. We would like to see things continue. We know when you get a change in the leadership, sometimes they have different ideas on how they want to expend their valuable resources. So any advice you could provide us on how we can continue to offer and grow the program would be really appreciated.
I think that Dr. Sakaki will be very much focused in our local area community. That's one of her top 4 priorities. And so I'm sure that she'll be reaching out to you all. And she has very close ties with Dr. Chong already, and I know she has ties with Superintendent Kitamura, so I'm sure that the relationship will even get stronger with time.
Thank you. That's great news to the district and the students that we serve. Thank you.
Okay, Laura?
Yes, thank you for the report. It was great, and it was great hearing from our students. It was really inspiring. And what to kind of reiterate what Director Close said, what I like too is that you guys have a community, that you've created these bonds, and I think that's really important. And as a personal anecdote, as the first person in my family to go to college, one of the hardest things for me was getting used to being on campus and not knowing anybody and not feeling like I fit in. And so I think it's really important that you guys have already built this community and you've already gotten to know the campus, and hopefully you keep up your relationships when you get there and you support each other. So it was great. Thank you.
Well, as acting president, I'm the last to speak, and I'd be redundant if I said anything, but just thank you very much. I appreciate the students coming down, and we really appreciate this relationship and the opportunity for our students. So thank you very much. Diane?
Just a couple of things for you to know. It's okay if you don't go to Sonoma State. Okay, it's okay. You know, we know that, probably about 20% of you will come to Sonoma State, but the rest of you are going to choose other paths. They'll choose the JC or some other university. We're totally fine with that. We just want to make sure that you have the capacity, the ability to be able to choose. And I just wanted to thank Jenny for all of her hard work. I mean, she's provided leadership in this space for many, many years, and the success can be attributed to her.
But they're already wearing the sweatshirt, so come on. Thank you, Dr. Ayala.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I want to say something.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
thank you all for their presentation. I want to note for the board, circle page, I don't know, it doesn't have a page number, but it is the slide after this slide, or it is the page after this page, that talks about the special education students and the numbers. I feel an obligation to present this in the fact that if you can look at the slide, do you have it in front of you?
It's in the board report, but it's not in the PowerPoint.
Right, but what number is it in your packet?
So it is, I think
Circle page.
Is it? Yeah, can we project it on using the?
Okay, yes, circle page 14? Okay, circle page 14. And so I just want the board to note, and the public to note, that the students, that we have a challenge ahead of us, that we have to begin to look at the number of special education students who are entering Cook, who may not be eligible for the Compact for Success dependent upon the courses that they're in. This is something that we have to hit head on. We have to challenge this because we want this program to continue. And special education students can also be included. It is the way in which we structure our programs. And I know Director Mazzara is working diligently on this, but I did want the board to see this and understand that if we look at these numbers and the rising numbers, the impact it will have on those who will be able to enter the Compact for Success, given our current program, and that it is something that we want to put huge priority on moving forward.
And I had a note about that. And what's interesting is I think we really need to explore this. The number of special education students at Lawrence Cook Middle School is, look at that percentage. It's 26, almost 27%, and it's increased. And all our other schools are at what? Special ed students are about 8%?
Between 8 and 14%.
So we're really looking at a number of 3 times as many special ed students at Lawrence Cook than at any other school in our district. And that needs to be explored. What's going on? So thank you very much.
And I think the instructive aspect of that is that less than 15% of those SDC students are from within our district. We're serving over 80%, close to 85%, that are coming in from elsewhere. Yeah. And that raises some significant policy issues, and why is that a burden, and why is that impacting? There's a lot to that.
Exactly. So if we could get a board report back on that, or after you guys explore that?
It's the relationships in the community building that needs to occur, because of course those schools are not our schools. The schools that the kids are coming from, they are our feeder districts, feeder schools. And so it's going to be incumbent upon us to build those relationships, to begin to have this very delicate discussion about these kinds of numbers in conjunction with our own programs and what we can do with our own programs so that special education kids are not left out of this whole equation.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we go to F2, Early College Magnet Program Update.
Because there are kids. We're just not getting the heterogeneous mix that we need.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Oops.
You guys ready? You got microphone issues or computer issues? Okay. Oh. All right, welcome. Thank you. Move the mics real close or speak right into them. Great, perfect.
Kitamura, members of the
you.
board, I'm Dr. Worthington from Curriculum and Instruction, and I'm here to help provide an update for the Early College Magnet Program. We have with us today Program Coordinator Karen Koster From
Michelle Poggi from
SRJC, Michelle Poggi. From Pioneer High School, Principal Mr. Zelenardo, and some illustrious students. Go ahead, Karen.
All right, so good evening, board members. I'm Karen Koster. It's very nice to be here this evening. And we're going to give you an update on the Early College Magnet Program. We do have students here this evening, and I do want to point out that, yes, they're getting ready for finals, or in the case of Juan, they're in finals. And so I do want to give them a special commendation for taking time out of their busy schedule to be here this evening. It wasn't easy necessarily finding people to come in, students, even though they were very eager, because schedules are so busy and their classes are so important. So we have before you some slides and some information. You have the board report. And just to begin, I'm going to talk a little bit about the class schedule that's up on the screens. The Early College Magnet Program, just for a little bit of background, I know this is in your report, and you know about the program and you've had previous reports, but as a refresher, students they apply in their 8th grade year, they're admitted for their 9th grade year, and it is a 4-year program. Their freshman year, students take Early College Foundations with Mr. Erickson to get them sort of acclimated to the Early College program. And by 10th grade, they're starting to actually take classes at the JC. The 2 classes that they take at the JC are counseling classes on Saturdays, Counseling 60, Counseling 270, and these classes help prepare the students for their junior year. And then by 11th grade, you can see they're taking usually two JC courses, sometimes just one JC course, depending on their Pioneer course load. Of course, many of these students are taking AP classes by 11th grade. They're pretty heavily involved in their rigorous classes. And they're taking JC classes of their own choosing. I counsel them and give them direction on what are some good classes to take, what their interests are, work sometimes with parents, but I work closely with the students, although many of them know what they want to do and they don't need advice from me, of course, I'm the adult. So they're getting, they talk with their peers, they want to take classes with their peers, and it's a good idea to do that, of course, because then they can help each other through the class. By their 12th grade year, they're more comfortable with the JC, they're more experienced with how to negotiate Santa Rosa Junior College, and they're still taking rigorous classes. So what we have up here is actually Mr. Mazzera, who's behind me. We kind of put this together a couple of years ago to show and share with the parents and the incoming students. This is sort of the typical class schedule for ECM students. Anything else I'm missing, or should we move on? Okay, next slide.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Poggi. I coordinate schools relations and outreach for Santa Rosa Junior College. I'm really honored to be here, and thank you for your time. This slide just represents the success we experienced with the Early College Magnet Program. We're, like Dr. Ayala, we're just very happy when a student chooses any college course as in direction. But of course, we love it when they come to SRJC first. This slide shows that over the last 2 years, we have 60 to 65% success rate of students going to SRJC right out of Pioneer High School. But overall, going to any college, JC, CSU, UC, it's in the high 80%. So we are so excited and pleased that we have that kind of a success rate with the Pioneer Early College Magnet Program. So we're just thrilled about that. Some of the things that we do at SRJC for the early college students, during their 9th grade year, we have them come out to have a campus tour. We show them around. They get to go to our Culinary Arts Center and all over the main parts of the campus to get familiar During their Counseling 270 class, they also have a lot of opportunity to become very familiar and comfortable on the campus. During their 10th grade year, we have an information night for the parents, and we hope the students come too, but an information night for them to come and learn more about the program, because that's the year before the students will actually start coming onto the JC campus. So we want to prepare the parents and the students for that experience. And so, again, just we're very pleased and appreciate the partnership that we have with Santa Rosa City Schools, and looking forward to that continuing, for many years. So thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. Thank you for having us and allowing us to present and speak with you tonight. So I do always like to start with thank yous. I would like to thank Jacob and Juan and Aiden, and I'd like to point out that they are illustrious, and I appreciate them being here this evening with us to speak to you in just a few minutes. And of course, I want to thank Jamie for helping us put together the presentation tonight, Michelle for being here and being such a wonderful support and connection point for us to support our students with. And Karen Koster does not ask for much attention, nor ever really seek it, but does a wonderful job supporting our students on a daily basis and really just building connections, and sometimes keeps students from maybe kind of not following through all the way with what they thought they first wanted to do, and we really appreciate that, so thank you, Karen. Of course, board, I want to thank each of you individually. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here, and just for the support you have for our students. I know that this is Pioneer focused for Early College Magnet, but I just listened to some wonderful presentations about the connections from Lawrence Cook Middle School to Elsie Allen, and then towards Sonoma State University. So it's the vision to have different ways for students to find different paths to success in many different venues that you are allowing and you support and you promote, and I really appreciate that. So I know you hear thank you in many different ways, and sometimes you don't hear it enough yourselves. So thank you for your public service and the way you impact our students. It's greatly appreciated. Now back to the slides. Before I talk about any of them, the new phrase that's really hot is college and career ready. Pretty simple to me. If you'd like to be college ready, be on a college campus. Go to a college campus, experience a college campus, take college classes, and prepare yourselves to deal with the rigors of college. And we have the beautiful luck of having the SRJC in our backyard, one of the top JCs in the nation, and it provides a rich experience for our students. And then the career ready part. Well, college is intertwined with that career readiness through economic imperatives in today's current culture and society. But even if you said they weren't, just to go to online portals, to have to put together information that represents who you are, to be able to carry yourself in an adult environment, and to be able to present yourself in a very professional way makes you career ready before you are in college or have a career. So I think it's just a wonderful opportunity. The slide that's here speaks to the fact that the program tries to capture, and it tries to make sure there's inclusivity for the multiple different heterogeneous groups that Pioneer High School is really lucky to have on our campus. It's really a wonderful cross-section of our community. And if you also notice, of course, on the right-hand side, of course, it's a place and a way for us to help students connect to college opportunities, and if they don't have the kind of socioeconomic background that's put them in the conditions where they can easily navigate those waters, that's where we can step in and provide a lot of support. So that's what that slide captures for us. If you don't mind, thank you, I appreciate it. Next up, we look at class enrollment. Basically, what you can take from this is that our current class that's going to be graduating is more around 70 students. But if you look forward to where it's going, we actually are increasing the amount of students that are being served. And this is where I really have to thank Michelle again for just her work as being a liaison and a connection point for our district and our school. We're looking at potentially having up to about 100 students who can take part in the Early College Magnet program. A few years out, that'll put about 400 students out of the total Pioneer High School population, which would right now be a quarter of the students, 25% involved in that program, which is just a phenomenal stat if you take together all 4 years, freshman through 12th grade. So it's just I don't know, I feel a little giddy when I see that stat. It's a great thing.
I want to jump in. I hate to interrupt the flow here, but in the board packet, there is a correction I'd like to make, and since we're on this table of class enrollment and retention, it escaped my eagle eye, and I don't know which page it is on yours because I don't have the official board report. Oh, it's probably circle page, is it 6. Circle page 6, if you wouldn't mind indulging me for a moment. We need to make a correction. Maybe it is corrected on your copy, I'm not sure. Where it says Class 6, 2015, the first column is 94 students. The second column, instead of 19, it should be 28. And the third column, instead of 75, it should be 66. That was an error on my part when I was putting this together. So my boo-boo. So what that, just so you know what that chart represents, the first column is the number of students admitted. The second column is the number of students who end up dropping from the program for any sort of reasons. And then the final column is the remaining or final current count of students by the end of their senior year. So anyway, I hope I didn't go through that too quickly and you caught those numbers.
Well, it took us a while to find the page because it's actually page 11, I think, on
sorry.
ours. So 84 is what?
So under Table 4, Class
Right.
Enrollment and Retention, if you look under Class 6, 2015,
Right,
the first column stays the same at 94.
right.
The second column changes from 19 to 28. So if you
Got
could
it.
strike
Got it.
19,
Got it.
change it to 28, and the last column, strike 75 and make it 66, please.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to break the flow there.
Okay, so Pioneer has created a pipeline of sorts with Comstock Middle School so that students at Comstock can get to learn about what the Early College Magnet program's all about. And if I could just share a quick little anecdote. A few months back, I was calling my dentist for an appointment, and the receptionist says to me, "How are you liking your new job?" And I said, "Oh, it's great, it's great." And I start telling her what I'm doing, and one of the things I do is act as a liaison between Pioneer High and also I support Comstock. And she stopped me right there, and she went on and on and on about what a great school Pioneer is, and about this really, really unique program they have called the Early College Magnet Program. And she felt there was absolutely no way that her son could have gotten into UC San Diego without the support of that program. And so I just want everyone to know that the community is watching, and the community gets to notice when we all come together to do something really great for our students. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it, and I hope we can count on your continued support.
And before we get to this last slide, I just want to say Laura Hendrickson over at Comstock, as well as Kathy Shanklin, have been fabulous supports of this program, obviously. We work with them. I go over to Comstock to Kathy Shanklin's classes, either in the fall or in January, and talk to her classes. They used to be the AVID classes, and now they're the early college prep classes. And so I kind of go in and get the kids excited and do a little song and dance, so to speak, and it's really good. So a lot of the kids remember me when I came into the classes. The counselors, of course, when they go over, they counsel them about early college. And then, of course, we have Comstock kids come over on field trips, not just the early college prep, but all the 8th graders are invited to come over. We bus them in. We give them the tour of Pioneer. We help make them feel comfortable and at ease there. And so Laura's great, and I've known her since she was an English teacher over at Santa Rosa Middle. We were colleagues over there. So I just wanted to give that little plug. Okay, so anyway, moving on, we're on the last slide. Student testimonials. So here we have some fabulous students. As I mentioned, they're here out of the goodness of their heart on their own time. These are just some quotes, and Juan is here, Trejo in the flesh, class of 2015. Juan is over at the JC. He's also, and I'm going to toot your horn a little bit, Juan, he's working at Bank of America over at the branch in Montgomery Village, part-time, while he's doing his JC classes. And he just got off work to come over here to speak on behalf of early college. So I'll give him a moment in just a second. I know I'm babbling on. I have a couple of other nice quotes up there. Marilyn Duong, one of our great students from the class of 2014, and then Ian Carpenter from the class of 2013, who is just wrapping up at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. They're on the quarter system, of course, so he's still in school, in classes. But we have his younger brother here tonight. So without further ado, I'll let them speak for themselves. I don't know, Juan, do you want to go first since you're the senior man at the table?
Hello, my name is Juan Trejo. I'd like to thank you guys for allowing me to speak here tonight. I am graduate of Pioneer High School, class of 2015. Right now I'm at the JC. So I remember when I was in middle school, I went to Pioneer High to do culinary classes, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, I will do culinary. And then my friends told me about, oh no, you should join the Early College Magnet program. Like, Early College Magnet, what's that? Like, oh, it's where you take high school, or where you take college classes in high school. I'm like, that sounds boring, no. So I finally decided, you know what, I'll just enroll. All my friends are doing it, so why not? And it wasn't really something I was interested in, but I just did it because all my friends were going to do it. And so I enrolled, I got accepted. I'm like, oh yay, I got accepted, big deal. Freshman year, I remember I was in, what's that class called? Well, Mr. Erickson's
Early College Foundation.
Early College Foundations. I was in the Early College Foundations with all other Early College Magnet Program students. And in that class, we focused on computer skills, and we also focused on college skills. And we did a lot of reports on different colleges. We looked into different universities. And when I was in that class, I was like, hey, maybe I should go to college. And that was when I finally got really excited about going to college. I wasn't really ever planning on going to college. I dropped culinary my sophomore year. I was like, I want to do this my whole life. I should probably, maybe I can do it as a, like, for fun. But so I really tried in the Early College Magnet. I would go meet with Ms. Coster, ask her, Ms. Coster, when am I going to start taking my classes? She'd be like, oh, just wait. And so finally I got to my junior year where I started taking my 2 7:30 a.m. classes at the junior college, where I would get to Pioneer High at 7 a.m. The bus would pick us up from there. It was great. I didn't have to bug my dad to wake up early in the morning to give me a ride to the JC. So I would just walk over to Pioneer High. I live right next to it. And I would get on the bus, go to JC, take my classes, and go back to school. And I graduated from Pioneer High with 19 units completed. So I had more than a semester under my belt. I'm going to be done with the JC at the end of this upcoming fall. And I plan on going off to, honestly, I don't know yet, but I plan on going off somewhere. I'm going to be the first one in my family, of course, to go off to college. My mom is a little worried. She says, I don't want you to go too far, but I'm not going to stop you. So I'm finishing a lot earlier than a lot of my peers. They're all taking their sweet time at the JC. They're going to be done about, 2-3 years. I'm going to be done in 3 semesters. I actually met with Mr. Pugh my very first time at the JC. He was my very first counselor. And I remember when I was leaving his office, he told me, if you get lost, just come to me. I'll put you back on the right path. And I think everyone in the Early College Magnet program, all the directors, all the teachers I had, all the instructors I had at the JC, they helped play a role in my forming of wanting to go into college, and now I actually want to go into teaching, as a matter of fact. I want to become a high school teacher because I want to impact students just as much as they impacted me. I want to be able to shape the minds of young students of our future. Well, I am the future, but of my future's future. And yeah, that's it.
Hello, my name is Aiden Carpenter. I'm a senior at Pioneer High School this year. So as you can see from the quote, my older brother was in the Early College Magnet program. So kind of from 7th grade it was just kind of expected that I was going to apply and go into the program. And I never really knew what the program kind of was. I knew you took college classes in high school, but that was kind of it. So then my freshman year, it was in the Early College Foundations program, I really started to get a picture of what the program was, and that was preparing us for college. So everything from the Early College Foundations program to the counseling classes you take in your sophomore year and to the actual JC classes that I've taken these last 2 years, the biggest thing that I think the program's done for me is prepared me for what school is like in a college setting. For one thing, the college professor, it's a lot more focused on you. Like, you can't rely on the college professors to baby you and prepare you and make sure you turn in every homework assignment and keep up studying on your tests. It's kind of up to you. And so learning how to manage my time and really kind of focus and study and get all that work done was, I think, extremely valuable. In high school, there's a little more, not hand-holding, but it's a lot easier to stay on top of things when you see your teachers every day and they're kind of a little more connected with the students. But actually taking college classes and learning the study skills that go along with that, I think has done a lot to prepare me for college. I'm going to be attending UC Davis in the fall. I have 18 units, I think, I've earned at the JC. And so just taking those classes and learning the skills that go along with them has done a lot to prepare me, and I feel a lot more prepared to enter my freshman year of college than I think I would have if I had not been a part of this program. So, thank you.
My name is Jacob Hayes. I am also a senior at Pioneer High School this year, and thank you for having us. So myself, I applied to the Early College Magnet program because I was told I should, and I am so glad that I was told to do that. It has definitely changed my outlook on the future and what I want to do for the rest of my life. So again, I think that freshman year class, the Early College Foundations class, is such an important class because not only does it build computer skills, learning how to use basic programs like Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, learning how to do a little bit of coding with HTML, and just getting skilled at typing, which is a very important tool. I think that definitely prepared me for writing papers in college and even for AP classes at the high school. So I'm very thankful for that introductory course. And I definitely took full advantage of the Early College Magnet program, starting even in the summer between my sophomore and junior year. I took a class over the summer, and I tried to double dip as much as I could with classes at the JC and the class at the high school. So I ended up graduating from Pioneer High School with, I think, 23 units at the junior college, and with AP classes, I'll end up having a full year of college done, which is fantastic. I'm talking about the costs saved from Standard University for a year there, which is huge. That's a lot of money. So I can't thank enough for the Early College Magnet program for what they've done for me and setting me up for success for the future. Thank you.
So I would just like to jump in and say, you know, all these things come into my mind. Aiden just finished taking speech 1A at the JC, so we decided on the drive over here that this was very good practice from his speech class. And you guys both took speech at the JC, so there you go, voila, you got to practice your skills.
Okay, wonderful report. Do I have any questions or comments from the board? Bill?
Everything we said about the previous program, ditto's right here. You guys, it was clear that you all have taken speech classes. You were organized with it. There were no notes that I could see from here. So you're speaking from the heart and obviously speaking well from the heart. You guys have all got great things in front of you. That's very cool. You know, I think one of the things we talked about very early on when we looked at this was the issue of cost. Number one, we want that, as we talked on the university program, we wanted that opportunity to be presented and kids to be able to do what they wanted to do with several choices in front of them. But the value of being able to get those units under the belt for families and students relative to loans and everything else, that they can get through school a lot faster if they choose. And you can do what you want to do, obviously. But that's a huge benefit that a lot of people haven't really picked up on yet. And I really appreciate the comments. You know, you've got a year under your belt. Ian Carpenter, your brother, I mean, what a great quote. He just jumped ahead, and obviously he was able to move quickly. So when you see a path and you can move in that direction because you're ready to go in that direction, you're saving money, but you're also really doing relevant things to what you want to be doing in the future. So it's very exciting. I appreciate the numbers that are increasing. You guys are working really hard to make this work, and we appreciate very much the relationship with the JC. And we're all okay wherever they go, but because they're going somewhere, and then in the end, that's the benefit. So congratulations to the three of you. Good luck. And you know, it would be nice to let us know in a couple of years how things are going. All right.
Thank you. Director Close.
Thank you for the good report. You obviously have a great program there, and you three have really benefited from it, and I appreciate the partnership. And just like Director Carl said, kind of the same comments we said with Sonoma State. So the thing that I was thinking before you addressed it was what's happening with Comstock, because we just had the report that was Compact for Success and the university program, and it sounds like you have sort of an informal partnership and program, but my question is, would we benefit from some more formalized program at Comstock, because those middle school years are very important to create that link starting really early.
Thank you. So I would say that in conversations with the administrative team at Comstock, there has been a great focus, not only for the kind of more informal things that, you know, Ms. Coster is mentioning that have to do with field trips and association, but actually naming classes and actually having students kind of pre-identify themselves as being connected as coming into the program. And I think our largest group of students continually is our Hilliard Comstock Middle School students. So there is that more formal relationship developing. So you ask a great question, because the next question would be, how do you kind of like crystallize that, or, you know, set it so that it's kind of a really clear set and kind of explainable process. So I think that would be the next step to do. But I think right now we have kind of the rough outline of it and can probably explain it pretty well as the beginnings of a pretty formal step-by-step process to introduce students.
So maybe you already have it, you just don't have a fancy name like Compact for Success. Maybe you're already, exactly, Kathy Shanklin says exactly. Okay.
And I'd also like to add that the junior college has some new staff on board that will be focusing on middle school success, and so we're going to be excited to see where that goes and how that can be a part of feeding into the Pioneer Early College program too. So we're excited about that and ready to start working on it.
Frank.
Again, I agree, another great report. Good to hear from our students. That has a huge impact, I think, to help the board make the proper decisions in the future. And as for crystallizing that agreement between the middle school and the high school, you know, it needs a fancy name. I think the Shanklin Academy would be just fine. You bet. You know, you got to put credit where credit's due, I guess. How much are the costs of the tuition for your, the cost for your textbooks?
While we're in the program at high school, textbooks are paid for.
Paid for?
Yeah, textbooks are paid for. So we get a textbook voucher at the beginning of the semester, and we write down what textbooks we need, and we take it to the junior college, and we get our textbooks, and then we return them at the end of the semester. So that's really nice, because I had to buy a separate textbook for my class, one that wasn't at the JC, that's why I couldn't use the voucher for it, and that was like $90. So having the textbook vouchers every semester definitely helps with the cost of everything.
That's great. That's really great. Yes.
Our textbook budget at the junior college is $20,000. In early years, we would spend about $7,000 or $8,000 on textbooks. This last year, we spent $19,900 and I mean, we spent all but 40 cents of our budget. And so, but we're ready to support the larger enrollment. And so we're already ready for that. So we're very happy to provide that for our students.
It's been my experience, and of course I'm biased as being a counselor and an instructor at the junior college, but it's been my experience that there is such a warm enthusiasm around people who are connected to this program. It just makes for success. And I'm thankful that we have our JC representative here representing this program as well as many others in the district. But I also have to say it's really swell to see so many students who, and I think all of you kind of said you weren't really sure about taking the program, but you voluntarily did. And that just shows that you made the right decision, I think, and I think you would agree. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just make a couple of comments. Every high school kid needs a home, somewhere to be, and what you provided these students who are wanting an education, you've provided them the home they need. They have a camaraderie among them, and it just makes for success. I have one question. What happens if a student gets in a class and gets in trouble, doesn't make it? Do you counsel him out before he gets that F that wrecks his transcript forever?
Oh, yes, the transcript. I'm usually the first point of contact, well, aside from the instructor, but if it does look like a student is sinking, I talk to them about, the possibility of withdrawing early and just getting a W on their transcript. If they get an F, I counsel them, and I'm sorry to say, I just had to counsel someone today about that. They are going to retake the class next year. They took it as a junior, so they're going to retake it as a senior. So there definitely is a learning curve. They find out that college, you don't mess around, and those Fs, if you do get them, they follow you. Those grades do follow you. So yeah, I do my best to make sure that that doesn't happen to begin with.
And do you have a low number of those students that are?
Yeah, the JC is very nice, and they give me because of course because I'm not affiliated formally with the JC, I can't access their grades, but I do get, when they're done, a report from the JC. And I don't know, out of the 10-page report with all those students, I'd say I probably get maybe 2 a semester.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to add one thing at this point, and this goes back to my earlier appreciation of Ms. Coster. This is where that essential kind of guidance and one-to-one connection with students makes such a significant impact. I mean, in her daily work, besides all the different wonderful things she does, she is a consistent contact. And you see students kind of streaming in and out of our office and out of her lovely office and just getting the chance to personally check in. I mean, she is just on top of where they are and how they're doing, because, of course, in opening the doors, we don't want it to feel like it's an overwhelming experience. So this is another place where the Board of Education and our district have been extremely supportive, because as a program manager, and I told, we were talking today before this and we were speaking about things, and I told Jamie, she's more of a counselor sometimes than a program manager. She does all of the logistical administrative tasks that you could ask of anybody, and she does them just superbly. But she also has that warmth, and she takes the time to make that human connection. And because of her ability to have release periods as a program manager, which is provided by this board in our district office, she's able to really connect with students one-to-one and keep them engaged in the program and successful. So it's such a wonderful thing.
It's my mom hat. I'm the nagging mom.
We support it, but you guys make it work. The students make it work. Just thank you very much.
Yeah,
it's really
thank you.
impressive.
Good night.
Okay, now we go to F3. Data-driven decision-making recommended for illuminating education of our new student information system, SIS. All right, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Vice President Hanel. Tonight, very excited to be here tonight to talk about the recommendation for our new student information system. Most of our presentations over the last few months for sure have been about infrastructure and the needs there and addressing issues that have been neglected for years. And tonight's really about the systems and the systems that we use on a daily basis that make our district run from a classroom standpoint, front office standpoint, and district office standpoint in terms of appropriately utilizing a resource to facilitate education. So with that, we have a number of fine people here tonight to support this decision and this recommendation as we move forward. That I'll let Rand go into more detail about and the role that each of these people at the table played in this decision. So thank you.
So good evening, board. I'll remind you that the last time we were here talking about data-driven decision-making and our student information system, what we're looking for is interconnectedness, and green arrows going both directions means it's electronic, it's not physical. So that's just a reminder. We, over the last 3.5 months, this group that came along, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves here in a moment, as well as a number of other staff members, we met regularly. We talked about feature sets. We collected information from the district as a whole. We listened to short presentations, 90-minute presentations by 3 leading vendors in the student information system arena in California. We scratched our heads, we had conversations, and we worked hard as fast as we could to ultimately come to a day where we spent nearly 12 hours together listening to deep information in a variety of different capacities. So John, for instance, represented teachers, and he listened to a couple of teacher presentations. At the same time, he had an opportunity to see how those systems represented worked for, John, I think you were at the office, the front office folks. So we were looking at it from the lens of the position we worked in, as well as from someone else's position. So it wasn't just one side, one piece of the puzzle. We were trying to see all pieces of the puzzle. And at the conclusion of that day last week on Tuesday, I was prepping for this, and this was the slide I was missing. I think I covered those pieces. So as a committee, we pretty overwhelmingly selected a company called Illuminate Education. Illuminate Education started out as a data analyst company. They have a product called DNA, and DNA just recently absorbed a product that we've been using called OARS. So I'm happy to say at the beginning of the school year, we will be able to implement a portion of this, that is the OARS part, or the DNA piece. We'll be prepping training around how you can collect that kind of information. And that should be fairly seamless as they have acquired OARS, and they're already doing the integration portion of that. And they're doing that for a number of different schools. The company is a highly collaborative group. They really believe in getting people together, coming up with kind of a uniform focus. They have an entire section of their website dedicated to implementation, which we'll be studying and working closely with them should we ultimately decide to select that company. We still have some issues we need to iron out. And they really work towards bringing the 3 big elements together. That is the data from student information, grades, attendance, that kind of stuff, assessment information, and learning tools. Bring it all together into one package. So we believe at this point that they will be able to fulfill our needs as we continue to move forward. I'd like to take an opportunity here for the group that came down today to introduce themselves. And the slide before you is the entirety of the evaluation committee, and those that have that little asterisk next to their names are the folks that were able to make it for the entire 12-hour marathon day. I like to think of it as marathon day, where we saw presentations by the 2 systems that were able to make it. So John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
John Cortopassi, Santa Rosa High School. I represented the teachers, as Rand said.
I'm Andy Lieberman. I'm the vice principal at Elsie Allen High School.
Lori Fletcher, Vice Principal, Montgomery High.
Hi, Francine Leapart, Elsie Allen High School math teacher and intervention coordinator.
Marjorie Hills, home and hospital teacher.
Robin Wilkins, I'm a counselor at Rankin Valley Middle School.
And I'm Dave Keegan, a fourth grade teacher at Biela Elementary.
And guys, to give you an example of the kind of dedication here, one of the group before you today is retiring at the end of this year. Dave has made every meeting and is passionate about making sure that he leaves us in a position with an excellent system. So that gives you an idea of the dedication of the group. I have to say, without a doubt, the group is the reason we were able to arrive at a decision. There was poking and prodding, conversations and email with me. They put up with us pushing really hard to move forward, coming together, asking tough questions, and really listening to one another. I think from the experience that I've had previously, this has been a really exciting opportunity for us collectively, no matter what our positions were, to really reach a good understanding of what our needs are. And I will say, I heard clearly from every group, training, training, training. So that it will be one of the big focuses as we implement. So our next steps, Rick and I have a meeting with the Illuminate Ed folks on the phone to talk about our next steps. We haven't signed anything because obviously that needs to come back to you. And we also need to make sure that they're really going to be able to meet our needs. So we have some difficult questions ahead for them, and we will be sharing that back out with the committee. We know very much that the school year comes to a close rapidly, and we would like to honor the commitment that the evaluation committee members have made so far and their willingness to roll into being an implementation committee and seeing what kind of work we can get going over the summer, even though summer is close at hand. Rick?
Yeah, just to echo what Rand spoke about, a huge thank you to the committee and the work that they put in. When we went through the long day and, at 5 o'clock when we were finally debriefing that day, and I'd like some of the members here at the table to speak about that, the collaborative feel in the room and the genuine conversation was something that I haven't been part of many times in Santa Rosa City Schools. And I even sent a note to Diane saying this is just an awesome conversation. And it was everyone taking their point of view and looking at it from another point of view and really trying to come to a point where they were picking the best system for Santa Rosa City Schools, not necessarily the best system for everything they want to do that day. So a big hat off to the folks that are here as well as to the entire committee, but if anybody else would like to speak about the process, would be appreciated.
Yeah, I really loved the process. I thought it was very inclusive, and it was really interesting to get the perspective of people you normally don't sit on a committee with, meaning office staff, principals, and all the people that would be affected by a student information system. And I also love just the inclusiveness of I am retiring, and I was thinking I'd go to one and sort of listen to what's going on and then let it be, but it was such an exciting process, and there was so much, so much really good dialogue and some constructive argumentativeness back and forth, and it really helped just in the process knowing a little bit more about the values of this district and what really is important to people. And I'm hoping as you guys implement it, you really do look at what people value, because I think that's going to be your base for implementation.
I would just say that along with the dialogue that we have, I think just the feeling of hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel from eSchools, and that we are looking at something that will hopefully help us not only to have a easier day when we're inputting grades or when we're doing class schedules or when we're making master schedules, but that it actually has the ability to help us to track student needs and identify those students early on if they're getting into trouble.
I really liked the very collaborative nature. I think there were a lot of surveys, a lot of discussions about what each party wanted to see in a system, and I think that Rand did an excellent job distilling that down into a list that's effective for the whole district. And I think that our 12-hour day, we really got to the bottom of what's going to work for everyone, and it felt really good.
Thank you. Yeah, kudos to Rand for the process. It felt very inclusive from the beginning, and I want you to also understand it wasn't just a 12-hour day, it was weeks and weeks of collaboration, brainstorming, surveys. You know, really, he asked over and over again, what do we need, what do we think would be best, prioritize what is most important, you know, between everyone, so kudos to Rand. And I'm very excited for the future because this was an all-inclusive process, and I always felt like every one of us was heard equally, and there was not a preference toward any type of worker in any of the process. So thank you.
I want to echo the collaboration. The other piece for it for me was that I know as a district we're trying to move forward to being able to look at data and to be able to analyze data and to be able to look at how everybody is doing something and come to a stronger alignment. A lot of people do things in very, very different ways. And so to have representation from all different grade levels and all different facets, from a secretary to a counselor to a vice principal to every single facet being there, and hearing how different schools do different things and realizing that we're all having to try and adapt to the system that we have right now that is not very manageable. And the excitement for me of being part of the implementation committee, because I think as we move forward with that will help align us a lot closer. I think the second thing that really came up for me was, as you watch this system, I watched lots of people eyes light up and go, I did not have any idea you could access that kind of information so easily to make these kind of decisions. I know at my school, I'm a total data head, and the people who know me a lot know how I get very frustrated because when I try and pull information up, it's always wrong. And it's very hard to make decisions on bad information. But it's just so simple to set up intervention target groups, to do RTI, to do all sorts of things that a lot of people in that room hadn't even realized was possible.
So the last day, the marathon day, it was nice the way that they organized it, where we did get a perspective, teachers, front office staff, and not just not just secondary, but elementary combined, because we all have our own different needs, not just the different levels, but even the different sites. And to be able to ask both vendors those questions and hear their explanations and see them go through the process relatively quickly, that was a little daunting, but at least we knew the systems could work, and a tremendous step up. And then kudos to these two gentlemen for leading the discussion starting at 5 o'clock. It was a long day by 5 o'clock. We all showed up a little before 8. And at 5 o'clock in the big group discussion, I sat back a little bit, and I wasn't sure how the group was going to decide, how the group was going to vote. And I was shocked that we almost got unanimous consent that we all wanted this one system, because it was just a very healthy discussion, back and forth, all different groups. What about this? What about that? Some groups that we hadn't been part of that heard one message on some pieces of it, that we heard different messages. And then it was also, kudos to Rand for running it and not letting any personal influence from the district office come into it at all. It really felt that this was a decision that the teachers, the administrators, and the front office staff, it was a decision that we were making, which I wasn't part of the last system, but my understanding of the choice of the last one, it was anything but that. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of automatic buy-in, but I think just from talking to colleagues, there's that fear of that uncertainty. So, I know I've said things to the board before about the caution of not moving too fast, not trying to throw too much at people at once and slowly implementing. And I know that was what the committee said, and I know that's kind of what the vendor was saying. So I hope that we really listen to that and implement in pieces as we can, if that's what the vendor can make happen. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciated comments for sure. And I will say this to wrap up our portion of the presentation. although we're at this point now where we've come to agreement on a system and are taking the steps to move forward, the work is really just beginning now. I heard Rand sigh because he knows there's a lot of long nights coming up as we go to really, look at our data structure now, cleanse data, and in preparation for movement to a new system, which is no small task when we're talking about electronic data from 1984 to present. And it will all be converted and moved to the new system, so we have historical records. We're very cognizant as a team, technology team, as a district office team. We've gone back and looked at what transpired at the last implementation. We know some of the shortfalls that happened, and we know what we need to be aware of moving forward. As I told the committee on the very first meeting, we're going to move as fast as we can, as long as it makes sense to do so, and really make sure that we have a solid training plan moving forward and a really strong plan for that system cutover date, whatever that will be. It's certainly not going to be next week or in 2 months, but as we work with the vendor, set those timelines, we'll share it with you as well as the entire district, along with the training plans that are produced through this process. So thank you.
Okay. I'm going to bring it back to the board. Ron?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I truly appreciate all the work that's gone in, for the people that aren't here, if you're listening or if you get wind of this, you've done a tremendous service for the district and for the public. A marathon day plus many other hours. But I think one of the most important things for me as a board member is to have good information and to make a decision that really reflects what's best for our students and in terms of, the public trust. And I can't ask for a better process. When I hear this from a lot of people, I am very impressed with the fact that this is a very complex issue, but it seems to have really, it seems to have gone well. And here I'm being presented with something that I can really believe in. It's very complex. It's something a board member would go, I don't understand a lot of this stuff. But I have faith in your decision. It's never going to be perfect, information that we have. But I will tell you that one of the reasons I ran for board was the last time that the student information system was chosen, and it was because of the process. I think it was absolutely incorrect the way it was done. I thought it was devious in one sense, or at least in a couple of senses. I think it was a bad decision that was an open checkbook that cost the public a lot of money. And I'll say that in all honesty to people. And so for me, that was a model of how not to make a decision. What you've got today is a model for me and for the public that the public can trust in, that really says, we have looked at this will benefit our students, this will benefit our teachers, this will benefit the entire community. So I much appreciate that. Now, a couple of questions regarding something that wasn't discussed. How much are we talking about?
In terms of overall costs on an annual basis, we'll actually be saving money to what our current cost is for student information system. The first year, there's no implementation charge, but they do charge more on a per student basis during the implementation year. And then after that, it's reduced down to between $4 and $5 a student. Right now, we're paying approximately $9 a student for eSchool Plus. So we'll actually see realized cost savings starting in year 2.
Okay.
Well, we're going to get all of this when we're being asked to approve it. You still have negotiation that needs to be done, some questions that needs to be answered, and things like that. We'll get a full-blown report with fiscal analysis, with the contract and everything else when that's brought back to the board, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, well, I just want to say, wow, thank you to your work and the process. And I think if you want to slow down, we should listen. You guys got to tell us how fast you want to implement this. I totally hear you on that. What I think it's going to do is the conversation the data brings a unity of purpose together, and then you can feed off of that, and that can be a basis for, rich discussions among teachers and the staff. And I just want to thank the voters for making it possible, because it was the bond measure that enables us to have this great teaching tool and tool that we can move forward with. So thank you very much. Okay, move on.
Thank you.
And thank you for your tireless work, the committee. Okay, now we go to F4, approval of initial prioritization plan for Measure I and L bond program.
Good evening again, Superintendent Kittimer, members of the board. We're here tonight to talk about the Measure I&L implementation plan. As we've discussed in detail over the course of the past several months, the completion of the facilities master plan that drives the expenditures for the bond program. We're now bringing back to you the overall implementation plan at a high level that we'll discuss. On my right, we all know QKA and Aaron Jobson, and I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you all for having me back again. So we wanted to just kind of go through this relatively quickly, but as we talked about last time, just briefly, we had a kind of a three-step process or kind of three levels to putting together this implementation plan. So first was addressing infrastructure needs. That's the first brick in the foundation, if you will, of safety, roofing, seismic issues, lighting, mechanical, paving, signage, those kind of basic infrastructure needs across the district. The second step is addressing educational needs. So things like furniture, technology, providing some hands-on learning, makerspace type areas at schools, and providing covered eating areas. So addressing some basic educational needs. And then once those two things are addressed, to moving on to larger modernization projects at specific site, kind of ordered in their level of need as we analyze them in the facilities master plan. So with that, I'm going to just kind of jump right into walking through the numbers. As of course you know that everything's separated into the two separate bonds for Measure L and Measure I for the two separate districts. So we'll walk through essentially the same type of information twice. So for Measure L, we have two funding sources that we're using for this implementation plan. So the first is, of course, Measure L of $54 million, but the second is Proposition 39, which is the energy efficiency measure that we talked about a little bit last time. And so for the elementary school district and the charter schools associated with it, there's a little over $1.2 million available through that. So we've kind of rolled this into it. Many of the projects need to be funded by both in order to qualify for the Prop 39 funding. So the different overall kind of summary pieces, we have about $600,000 in financing costs. We have a contingency to address unforeseen conditions of a little over $1 million. There are a few things that, like the funding for the Santa Rosa Charter School for the Arts project, that have kind of already been earmarked. And then we have about almost $28 million in projects identified in that infrastructure needs category, and about 19.5 in the educational needs category. And unfortunately at the elementary school district, because the lower level of funding, we're not really able to get to any of the site-specific needs. And I'll walk through each of those two main categories separately. So the first is the infrastructure needs, and these really, unless it's specifically noted, address are applied to all schools. So the first thing on there is really addressing safety and security at each school. So if you remember in the facilities master plan, there was a safety and security improvement project at every school site, and we're including 100% of the funding from all those in here. That was the highest that rated in our IOQ system. It was consistently what we heard was the most important from all the people that we met with throughout the process. We've put some money in there for seismic retrofits for some of the issues that we've talked about previously. There are a couple of specific projects that were kind of uniquely urgent infrastructure needs issues. So that was addressing the emergency vehicle access and parking issues at Steel Lane Elementary School, and restroom modernization addition at Proctor Terrace, which has an extremely limited number of working restrooms, working toilets. So beyond that, we're looking at exterior multipurpose lighting replacement. This is related to the Prop 39 funding. These are projects that qualify for that, and we'll replace all of the exterior, both wall-mounted and pole-mounted light fixtures with LED fixtures, as well as fixtures inside the multipurpose rooms. And then the next item is replacing all the HVAC, or the heating, ventilation, air conditioning units in every, throughout the district, all the ones that need to be replaced, with the exceptions of those that are connected to portables. We have an allowance, or a project in here for site work to be spread across all the schools, and one for roofing repair to be spread across all the schools. And I think before I go on from this, I just wanted to make the point that it's important to understand that when we get to this point, every school has had all of these issues addressed. So they've all had roofs repaired, mechanical units replaced, safety and security significantly improved. And those are all really important, foundational things that we need to address. And then going on to the educational needs, again, these apply to all schools. Technology upgrades, which you've already done a lot of work on. And then this was a project that we identified as a way that we can make an impact for really all students at every school, is to look at the existing libraries that we're all put in at the same time and have the same design at each school, and take there's kind of a computer lab area within that library that really isn't functioning that well anymore, and take that and make it into a kind of a mini maker space or design lab that could really support more interactive, more hands-on projects across each school. And then one of the things we wanted to address too is providing new classroom furniture, doing that in a way that enables better, or just gives teachers and students more options as far as implementing 21st century learning strategies and teaching and learning in different ways. And so we've done that for every classroom across the district, and then also providing covered eating areas at every elementary school as well. And that's the proposed project list for Measure L. At the high school district for Measure I, if you guys have any questions as we go along, please stop me. But at Measure I, which I realize I forgot to change the first line there, but we have the measure funding of $175 million. For Proposition 39, we have about $1.9 million to add to that. So it gives us almost $177 million to work with. Here we also have the financing costs and the program contingency. And then we have infrastructure needs of about $78.5 million, educational needs of just under $50 million. And here we do have some money left over beyond that to address some site-specific modernizations of about $43.5 million. Oops. So again, the infrastructure needs apply to all schools unless they're specifically noted otherwise. So here we also, again, have safety and security at all the middle and the high schools. We have site improvements at each school, which we've have given an allowance for an average amount at each school. We picked out the Santa Rosa High School quad renovation to put in here as well, because that has some unique accessibility and utility and drainage issues that really need to be addressed. We have an allowance here for seismic retrofit as well. We've put funding in here for restroom renovations at every high school and middle school as well. That was something that we heard was a real high urgency issue, something that really needed to be addressed at every school site. So that's something that we identified specifically. Again, replacing all the HVAC units except for portable classrooms, and the gym and exterior lighting and roofing repair. So again, every classroom, every school at this point gets all of these items, has all of these issues addressed. And then educational needs, there's the technology upgrades, the classroom furniture, and then there are 3 projects on here that are at Comstock, and these are really about expanding the facilities at Comstock to create enough space on that campus to accommodate the growth of CCLA and the Comstock project, the Comstock school. So to accommodate both of those schools on the same site, we need to provide some additional classroom buildings, a second administration area, and create appropriate parking lot and play areas that really work for both schools to make that site function better as two full programs. And then the last step here was to take the money that we had left over after addressing all those needs, meeting all those basic needs across the district, and identify where we can use that for deeper modernization projects throughout the district. We did that. We also did that by looking at these, and we looked at the dollar amounts in the master plan for kind of the full modernization to really address all the issues in every one of those buildings, and decided we need to scale that back a little bit so we could spread the money around a little bit more. So we looked at each project and looked how we could discount those a little bit more, and I think some of the backup documentation you have shows that a little bit more, but shows that a little bit with notes and things to explain that. And mostly that was looking at where we could, limit the scope to address things that really needed to be done and leave some other things to be done in the future, and just target that money where it's needed most. So we've got, I won't read through all the projects here, but a lot of different projects focused at the high schools and middle schools where they were needed most. These were selected based on need, based on where the issues were most urgent and needed to be addressed. And so that totals about $43.5 million and rounds out the funding for Measure L. We did want to take a few minutes to just kind of review generally the overall schedule. So the schedule for implementing Measure INL will really be driven in many ways by the sale of the bonds, which at this point are planned to happen in 4 sales in odd years, with the last one being in 2021. So we'll anticipate beginning design on the phase 1 projects that are funded by the money you've already sold and will be funded by future bond sale number 2, and start on those right away. As we've mentioned before, the first the first good-sized projects will be starting construction in the summer of 2017. Any really significant projects will probably need to start in the summer of 2018. And then we'll be kind of continuing forward with design and construction of projects in a kind of rolling way, aligned with the amount of funding available, so that we can use as each set of bonds is sold, so that we can be in position to get that money into the classrooms, into the schools as quickly as possible. And with the last bond being sold in 2021, we'll probably be looking at the last projects being complete in 2022, 2023, somewhere in there. And then we wanted to review just kind of a typical project timeline as well on a real high level. So typically a school project is going to take 6 to 12 months to design, depending on the scale, obviously. DSA review and approval will take another 6 to 8 months. That's the Division of State Architect that reviews all school building projects. And then construction, depending on the scale of the project, will take 3 to 14 months. So you can see, you're looking at least a 15-month process, even for the smallest project. And for bigger projects, it can be 2 years or more. So it is a long process, and one that we want to make sure we're planning for ahead of time, so that we can move through this as quickly as possible and get the money out into the school facilities where it's needed. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Ron? Thank you very much again. I appreciate all of your hard work. I want to reiterate, I just think this is such an amazingly complex process, and it just really feels good to have that facilities master plan. That's really, really important. And it is frustrating to see all the needs we have, and when you look at the projects and how quickly that money goes, I just have to shake my head and go, wow, this is all important stuff, but boy, there is such a need that we're not meeting there too as well. My question, I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor any of this stuff. My question is about process. We had an executive committee. We've gone through all this information gathering, and the document that we have tonight, which is an action item we're going to vote on, is this a reflection of the executive committee, or the committee that was, in other words, this was all funneling up to this committee that, district administrative committee that was going to make this decision? Was that a decision that the committee made, or is this a recommendation of the architect? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what we've got here.
We've reviewed this in detail with the executive committee, yeah.
Okay.
So this has been, we've gone through a couple revisions on this process, and this is very much, I think, a joint recommendation, I would say. Okay. That's fair, Diane. And again, of course, it reflects everything that all of us have heard throughout this process too. And it's really us trying to crystallize all that information and what we heard were the priorities and put together what we think is the best use of the money that you have.
Okay, and then this doesn't commit the board. If we find down the road that there's something that the board decides is more important or we need to shift priorities, we still have that authority, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like with the master plan, this is a living document, and, you know, all of these are estimates, and maybe some of these projects can be completed for less money, and then that becomes more money available. It may be that additional funding is available through state bond or things like that, and then, you know, this process would be updated to use whatever funding we have.
Dr. Carl?
Good. 2 of my 4 comments were taken care of. One was that we do have flexibility. Not all of this is going to be spent at once. So I have an expectation that on a yearly basis, we'll be looking at this as our measure piece and deciding whether there are things that need to be done and changes that need to be made. I mean, we clearly have that right, and we clearly have that responsibility. So the second one that just got taken care of was what if we get money from the state? Obviously, if we do, we're going to be able to do some other things and focus on some other things, so that would be good. So I have 2 comments left. One is, or a question, what's the life expectancy of new HVAC systems?
Right about 15 to 20 years.
Okay, so we're going to be back around again 20 years from now.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected in, it was about 15 or 20 years ago when the last bond program went through and replaced all those.
Right, and the bond money is for, that will pay for that will be what term?
That is not a decision I get to make, but you typically, with Steve, that's probably a question for you more than me.
Yeah, when we get to that bond sale and we look at that, we'll, you know, one of the obligations that we have is to tie the length of the bond sale to the useful life of the equipment.
Perfect. Okay, great. Then last question is, the Maria Carrillo field situation is listed in this group. It's not listed in the next item. I'm still really concerned from a safety standpoint that we're not waiting a year or 2 years to deal with some of the problems there, because I think it directly relates to student safety.
Absolutely. Jim can speak to this better, but I know the day after school is out, they're going to fence off the field to start immediate repairs on there.
Okay.
We'll go through the design process that will take a little bit longer and then implement that in the future. But we are addressing the safety needs now.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the work on this.
All right. I have a question. Nobody else does. I'm going to refer to the letter from the Santa Rosa Accelerated Charter School Parent Faculty Organization. And this is something that I think we should explore. I called Matt Marshall today, and I've also had a conversation with our superintendent. I called Matt Marshall today, and he says, you know, if we pass this new interdistrict transfer system, it's going to, there'll be fewer kids at Rankin Valley. And also with the rearrangement of their fields, it will open up enough space for them. So it will free up actually 4 portables that actually could be moved and used as a way of expanding that school. Now, the enrollment comes, 2/3 of those kids come from Austin Creek and Sequoia. And so I think it's something we should bring in front of the board and discuss it at an appropriate time as to whether this is a good idea or not.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to move the approval of the initial prioritization plan for Measure I and L bond program.
Second.
Director Carl?
Aye.
Director Hugh?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Close?
Aye.
Director Hanel?
Aye. Thank you for your work.
Thank you all very much.
Now we're on F5, approval of Measure I and L Summer 2016 projects.
Good evening again. I believe this directly is a great segue from your question, that we will be bringing back projects for approval moving forward, and that fluid, the document is fluid. and can be changed as needed, as priorities change, or as funding sources potentially change. These are projects that we looked at from a standpoint of what we could reasonably get done during this summer to show some immediate impact to school sites, including paved areas, school signage, some initial restroom reconditioning at the high school level, and roofing. Right now we have listed Slater Middle School gym as a major area of need in the district. We'll also look at other smaller areas of need for roofing as well that we'd bring back to the board, but this would be our initial project list that we'd move forward on.
I have one question.
Question, Jen?
I was surprised to not see more roofing projects, so, because that's what I had heard, that we had a lot of immediate need for roofing, so.
We do, and we're still determining some of those sites with the greatest need that can be, that work can be done during this summer.
Okay, so that, but it's just smaller, I heard you say there would be other smaller projects, but
Yes.
that's, so like patchwork essentially?
Patchwork, projects that don't need DSA approval. The Slater gym is a big need that needs a little more planning time. So we've started that process and feel that we can get that done. And then there'll also be some patchwork on some other roofing areas in both districts.
What's the threshold for DSA approval on roofing projects, do you know? When does that get, how does that get triggered?
He'll have a better answer.
It's a little bit complex for roofing projects because it has to do with how much, it doesn't have to do with the dollar amount, it has to do with how much actual like removing of material or adding weight you are to the building. So it's a little bit complicated. There are different thresholds for different kind of projects that have to do with dollar amounts and specific scope of work. But the projects that Rick's talking about, you know, fixing, reconditioning roofs generally do not require DSA approval because they are maintenance projects. But if you get into a more extensive re-roof that may have some structural implications, then you do need to have DSA approval for that. So there's a timeline to all these things.
So the greater the roofing problem, the harder it is to solve, essentially?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to, I mean, it could be,
I
if
mean,
you're
in
doing
terms of
an extensive
logistically.
repair in a small area, it may be a small cost amount, but it could still have you know, an impact structurally, whereas if you could, you know, do a recoding of Pioneer High School and you wouldn't have to take it to DSA because you're just doing it. It would be a big dollar amount, but it would not have any structural implication.
Thanks.
I move approval of item F5.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Director Crum?
Aye.
Director Kristoff?
Aye.
Director Close?
Aye.
Director Hanel?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. West County Transportation Agency update F6.
Thank you, Vice President Hanel, Superintendent Kitamura, and the directors. With me this evening is Mike Ray, the Executive Director of West County Transportation, and also Chad Barksdale, who is the Transitional Executive Director. As you may know, Mike is retiring next year, and so Chad has been hired as the Transitional Director, who will be working alongside with Mike until he retires, so that the leadership transition will be as smooth as possible. And so tonight we're going to provide you with a brief update of what's been happening since the last time that we provided you with an update, which was in February. So these are some of the transitional items that we're still working on. They're ongoing. This is a partial list. It's not a comprehensive list, but it's a partial list of some of the items that are needed to be done in that transitional process. It includes meetings with some of the staff, not only with administration, but also with some of the site staff, and going over some of the new forms that'll be used, the new process, and who the contact information is, and getting all that information out to them early, and providing them with an opportunity to ask questions, not only about the process, but what will happen if they do have concerns as the year goes on. And these are, again, not a comprehensive list, but a list of some of the items that are still ongoing that we'll be dealing with between now and the start of the contract, which is July 18th. which sounds like a ways off, but it'll be here before we know it. So we're working diligently on that, as is West County. And with that, we'll take any questions if you have.
Mr. Carl.
Thank you. There's a lot to organize here, obviously, and you guys have been real busy in doing that. I can't remember where I saw it, but sometime in the last week I saw an ad for drivers. I don't know if it was in the Press-Democrat. And I note that we've got 25 offered employment. Do we have any update on that in terms of how many have accepted? And with the number of drivers that we need, what are the efforts being made to that you're having to do to try to fill those numbers?
Sure. We've had about 8 separate meetings, open meetings. The ad that you saw in the Press-Democrat this last week was an attempt to try to get some more information internal to those folks. And we think that it's had some great effect. We actually met with the Teamsters representative earlier today. And at this point in time, they're very willing to assist us and believe that they'll be able to assist us in filling our ranks with all the drivers that we need.
Yeah, my impression is that once school is over, that, you know, those folks are going to be looking at the fact that they'd like to work next year. And I think that I'd be kind of surprised if things don't come together. But is that your sense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there any kind of a contingency plan in place, or is the confidence level so high that they're just not really concerned about it?
Well, there is some contingency in place. We've been talking internally and with our board about ways that we could possibly supplement our own drivers with some other type of service that would assist them, or other mechanisms, other structures to be able to provide the transportation. Our highest priority is to ensure that our existing members, as well as Santa Rosa City School, receive transportation service in a seamless fashion.
Right, and I'm confident of that. It's one of the reasons we picked you. We've got that level of confidence, so I appreciate that. It would be nice to get an update maybe in July.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you for the report. And welcome. So now we go to F7, Environmental Preferable Purchasing. Jessica is here. Welcome.
Okay, thank you again. With me this evening is Kelly Cook, the Director of Purchasing, and Jessica Jones, who is a Santa Rosa City Schools intern this year, and they will provide you with information on an environmental preferable purchasing.
Turn this on. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Kitamura. We have with us, as Steve had mentioned, Jessica Jones. She's been interning with the district for about a year. She's an undergraduate student at the UC Davis, and I have to read this because it's kind of lengthy. She is currently studying community and regional development with a focus in environmental policy analysis and planning. Jessica has actually worked with the SRJC in developing their sustainable policies, and she's recently worked with the Sonoma County Office of Education in developing and adopting their first environmental purchasing guideline. So with that, I'm going to pass it on over to Jessica.
Thank you, Steve and Kelly, and it's an honor and a privilege, and I'm really excited to be before the board tonight to go over our research so far on environmental purchasing, and if you have any questions, let me know. So with that, we'll jump in. There we go. So the basics about environmental purchasing, we hear EPP, environmental preferable purchasing. Basically, it's looking at the triple bottom line, price, environment, and performance. Environmental purchasing came up in 1998 from an executive order and has since been developed and supported all the way from an executive order in now 2015. California state agencies practice environmental purchasing practices, and many school districts around the state are now implementing similar environmental purchasing policies, which we'll see later in the presentation. And as I said, it's all about triple bottom line, and the main focus or idea of developing an environmental purchasing policy and procedure for Santa Rosa City Schools is all about choice and thinking about the importance of environmental health and safety for its employees and students. Thank you. That bounces. And as I stated, it's about the triple bottom line. I like these figures because it just gives an idea of how big purchasing plays a role in not only GHG emissions, but also how much it is a role in our budget. And so just for state and local government agencies alone, we're looking at about 1.5 trillion spent on goods and services. And what an impact we can make if we start looking for greener options, which we're lucky now that there are more greener options available to us. The benefits of environmental purchasing are many. The big ones that are talked about a lot with municipalities and school districts are the energy savings, are the conserving of water, which is particularly important right now still because we're in the drought, and is looking at improving environmental health conditions. So by reducing VOCs, by decreasing GHGs, and by looking more for renewable and recycled and even biodegradable products, we're creating more healthier environments for the staff and the students. So Santa Rosa City Schools is particularly lucky in that we have a lot of models to look at. So in 2007, the city of Santa Rosa actually passed its first environmental purchasing policy. It's now like 14 pages long and very detailed, but Santa Rosa is probably like one of the forerunners, I would say, at least in our county, of developing a very innovative and very comprehensive policy. Then our county followed right after in 2008, and they have a very simple but green policy. And then one school district so far in Sonoma County has a policy that relates to environmental purchasing. It's not called an environmental purchasing policy, but it has a lot of content that you would see in an EPP, and that's the Harmony Union Elementary School District. So very exciting. We have one, and we have their model to look at. And now with the green purchasing standards, our guidelines that were passed by SCO that I had the opportunity to draft and work on, we had those just recently passed in 2015. So in my research of looking at the policies that Santa Rosa City School already has, Santa Rosa City Schools has already done a lot. There are a lot of blurbs within these like 7 or 8 policies that can actually be lifted and combined into an environmental purchasing policy. So a lot of the work is already there. It's just scattered in a bunch of policies. And so one of the ideas that we've been talking about early on is about taking these blurbs or snippets and just combining them into one policy so that it's easier to find, and making the environmental purchasing policy as comprehensive as Santa Rosa City Schools would like to, but we already have a lot existing that we can just tap into, but just tying it all together in one policy. As I stated earlier, some of the criteria that are usually considered in environmental purchasing policies, the big one is non-toxic, right? Like that's a no-brainer, and it's practiced, but it's looking at how products are labeled, looking at third-party certification, was it WaterSense, was it EPEAT, looking at where the product is coming from. End of life is a big one. If this big machine breaks, can I send it back to the manufacturer, right? Or does it have to go to the landfill? Or is there a local recycling company that will actually take it off from my hands? So it's the EPP concept challenges departments and makes it interesting and fun to think about what's going to happen to this product after we're done with it. And can we have something right from the get-go that says it's either the producer's responsibility or there's a clear understanding that this product is not going to end up in the landfill. So then I have proposed our draft timeline of this policy and procedures development, all still in the draft stage, but it gives you an idea of where we are. And so hopefully having the chance to develop the environmental purchasing policy through the months of September through November, and making sure that it's as comprehensive and getting lots of feedback. And then, again, looking at bid specifications and looking at how the school districts that currently have a working environmental purchasing policy, so Santa Cruz Unified School District actually has an environmental purchasing policy. Berkeley has an environmental purchasing policy. So looking at how they framed their bid specifications, how it works, and seeing if we can include any of those or learn from them, what's worked, what hasn't. Same with the city of Santa Rosa, the county of Sonoma, what's worked, what hasn't, just gathering best practices and feedback. And then looking hopefully to see if we would have a policy and procedure or a policy ready for review by the board in December. So with that, I'll take any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Director Carl.
And you graduate in May of 2017, so you're going to hang with us through this process.
I would love to hang with you all for this process. I'm actually graduating in December of 2016. So my graduation plan did go faster than I originally expected because of all these honor thesis and independent studies that finally got counted. But I want to stay involved with this process. Thank you.
Good, I appreciate that. When did we set up the green team? 6 years ago, something like that. This was actually one of the focuses that was supposed to occur relative to the green team that was set up, and I think a certain amount of stuff did occur, and you reflect that in some of the policies, in some of the purchase concepts that were discussed and implemented. But I think that having a comprehensive policy as opposed to the mishmash of those and really focusing on this is very critical. And I appreciate that we had you available to be able to pull this together and get us set up in the right direction. So thank you. I'm looking forward to this, and very much think that the goals that are listed on page 7, those criteria, I think there's not one of them in there that isn't important from my perspective. So I'm very pleased with this.
Thank you.
Okay, Director Close.
Thank you. Thank you for the report and for your work, and I'm so glad that you chose to intern with us and to help develop this, and I'm looking forward to voting yes on this. I think, our environmental challenges are so daunting that as individuals, I think lots of people don't know what to do, and people tell you you can make these small daily choices and they'll all add up, and that's true, but as organizations and large organizations that can use their economies of scale, that's really true. And so this might not be sexy like a Tesla, but this is, I think, how you make real change, is to get organizations to make change that will also force industrial change, manufacturers to change, and so I think this is a really cool thing that you're doing. It might be kind of eggheady, and maybe people don't get it, but I totally get it.
Thank you.
This kind of thing can make a really big difference. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions or comments. Thank you, Jessica. And, boards, we keep adding stuff, and you're bringing it all together. I look forward to the report, and thank you so much. Usually we pay people to do this. Thank you for being an intern.
Thank you very much.
Bye. All right. right, next, we're looking at F8, open enrollment and intra-district permits.
Vice President Hanel, Superintendent Kitamura, board members, thank you. I first want to apologize. Director Ayala has a bruised up shin and was not able to present with me tonight, so she had to go home early, so I'll be presenting on both our parts. We're bringing back some administrative regulations that we first discussed on April 27th, and the idea is that we needed to align some of our systems to make some things that would be more consistent for families, predictable for administration, and better legally defensible. And so we're bringing forward some of these regulations. These are normally just a regulation we do internally, but for transparency purposes and have the conversation, we want to just bring it to you as a discussion item. The first thing we would start with is Director Pugh had a question about the definitions, and it's very legitimate because it's a very confusing situation. There is interdistrict enrollment, open enrollment, NCLB, program improvement, all sorts of things. So the best way that we categorize these, there's going to be two types of enrollments. A period of open enrollment, when there will be a window when you can apply to any school in any program, with the exception of charters. Charters, of course, are governed by themselves. And then if there are limited situations when you do not make that window, you can apply through this other process. Both are statutorily required, and we have to have policies accordingly. So I also want to give a recognition to some of the, at the last presentation, there were some questions by board members. As we were digging through the data, and we certainly appreciate the board asking these data-related questions, they are getting deep and micro, and they are very significant for us. And what we began to realize, there's some patterns that were revealed that we really need to spend more time on before we feel comfortable in bringing you that data. And so we're going to bring it back to you in an information item, these questions here that were specifically asked by board members at the last time. So rather than give you a cursory, we really want to dig a little bit deeper with it because they are important questions, and I think they will become something like baseline data for us. So when we review these policy changes or regulation changes for next year, we can just see what kind of positive impact we've had. In a quick nutshell of timelines, what we're going to be looking at is moving our timeline for open enrollment from October 1 to about the Friday before Thanksgiving. And what that does is it gives us administratively time for our staff to prepare the letters to go to parents. December 1 will allow a window for them to come and register at their newly chosen schools before the end of, of December for spring break. What that does for us administratively is we have students enrolled in our systems, course planning sheets for the secondary schools, where we can begin to build our master schedule appropriately, match the resources to the students appropriately in February, and make any changes in staffing we need to by the statutory deadlines if necessary in March. Following our inter-district permit, they will have another window for outside the district. Those are inter-district permits. And then specialized programs, I'll show in a second, keep all their own deadlines. So as we build up to a school site capacity, you start off with the base of the triangle where the principal is just using numbers from existing students. You roll up your students, you look at existing students. You have an automatic feeder pattern, and so you have a capacity of what that should be for your school. If there is room still available within that, you see kind of a tier that the site administrators will be giving us. They will give us a number that'll tell us how much room they have available based on these kind of capacities. And that'll help us gauge the incoming permit requests. And what that means is if there are more permit requests than the administrators have designated room, we'll have to run one of those unbiased random lotteries to fill those spots. If there's not, everyone that applies will get their first school of choice. So there's a priority that will come through that we kind of revised a little bit. We have to make it clear in our policy that the regulation that we did, that students will not get bumped. If you're an existing resident, that's your school. You will not get bumped by someone else trying to come into the placement. the space, there is capacity that has already been established at these schools, physical capacity, appropriate capacity, safe capacities. So those limits numbers set by the administrator cannot obviously exceed anything that's safe. We mentioned the lottery, and then the priority of what we have are continuing students get to remain there. Children of employees have been a strong priority. A note on this one, current state school board education allows only children of employees that are assigned to the work site. As an example, if I want to go to ArtQuest, I have to be an employee at Santa Rosa High School for that priority. We intend to seek a waiver of that we'll ask the state board to make any district employee, not just the ones that are employed there, giving our employees a little more flexibility to stay within the schools and have second choice there. Specialized programs, we get the next set of priorities, and a currently attending sibling. In regards to the specialized program, first of all, I want to make sure our presentation on the first bullet, it's University Center, and that I want to make clear, not the preparation, and Compact for Success. So apologize, Mary Gale and company. What we're going to do is if you apply to the specialized program, we're going to ask that you also apply to the school for open enrollment. And that guarantees you a real slot that if for some reason you don't make your specialized program, you'll still have a spot. And that came out of conversations I had with each of the program managers of each of those programs, looking at how many people they really reject, what happens. Frequently, if they don't make it into the program, they stay at the school anyway. This way, since the open enrollment window is earlier than most specialized program deadlines, rather than push those up, we kind of blended that together after talking to everybody, and they can still keep their program deadlines, and we can still meet the open enrollment deadlines and make sure they have a spot. Then if you're not accepted to the program, you can remain at that school, and then if you're not accepted, you can, outside the district, you can stay, of course, if there's space availability. Feeder patterns were a conversation where we spent a lot of time discussing with staff the feeder pattern. The question was whether or not if you open enroll to Santa Rosa Middle, does that guarantee enrollment to Santa Rosa High School? And in our opinions and the conversations we have with staff, we feel that at each transition you should have a separate application process. So the elementary to middle would be a separate application process. The 8th to 9th would be a separate application process. But of course, once you're in that school, you're there for the duration. If it's K-6, you're there for 6 years. If it's 7, 8, those 2, and high school for those 4. One of the things we know that's really critical for this process is great communication about it. So we've really spent some time developing the communication of what we have to do. We've got a lot of good ideas that are bouncing around about better ways to get communication out, including social media and other things. But we recognize we're going to have to do a number of things to make sure parents understand this window and that it's very clear that they have a time period when they need to apply. So you see some things here that we're going to do, and then in the following slide, we have a much more detailed process of how we're going to actually break down these notices. And you'll see things that we're talking about notifying people internally with our internal communications, a zip code, excuse me, a zip code mailing that'll get to parents that are potentially coming into the district, those that are outside the immediate zip code, and then Facebook and other social medias. And we'll look later on how that is whether or not we have to do any other kind of press Democrat or other things in September. We have to look at those as well. And as we're getting ready, this course would be in operation beginning October 1 of 16 for the enrollment starting in August of 2017. And take any questions at this time.
A couple. The concept that I would have to apply, if I wanted to go to a specialized program, open enrollment as well. I'm still concerned about somebody trying to use a specialized program to get into a school when they really don't care about the specialized program, but they just want to get into that school. Do we have that issue?
No. We have perhaps other other ways that that happens. In the current interdistrict process, which is if you miss this window, you sneak in with a special permission to an individual administrator one by one. That seems to be the current practice that we're trying to reduce into a window.
Okay.
In any conversations I've had, they don't think someone's trying to get through a specialized program to just get into the regular school.
Okay. And the other thing occurred to me as I'm reading through and just kind of thinking about practicality, the applicants have to confirm within a very short period of time, but that's been the old policy as well. And it's a letter that's sent out. Does the application have on it an email contact request?
The application is likely to be an online application and form, so we can manage this and get out information much more efficiently,
Right.
create a database and things like that. So there will be lots of communication. We'll have a web page that'll have this. I'm looking, Napa has a great site just for open enrollment and all sorts of clicks and things on it, and we're going to model after that. So there will be, I think, multiple opportunities to ask questions about your application. Is that what you're
Well,
you're
I'm not,
thinking?
no, I'm not so much worried about asking questions. I'm not trusting the U.S. mail system. And,
Oh, I see.
And somebody saying, oh, I'm supposed to have done this within 10 days, but I didn't get a letter. And of course, we don't have any record of that. We're not sending certifieds out. But if what we do in our system is we ask for an email, and so we send the letter out, but we also attach it to an email that's sent out.
Yes.
Now we have a record that they received it. So that if somebody blows a time frame, then we can go and, we can go back and say, we sent it.
Yeah.
And I think it protects the district.
Absolutely. I think that's a given, and that's one of the things the online forums we go to will help us immensely.
Okay.
Make it a required field so you can't submit it without it.
Right.
Thank
Good.
you.
Good.
No other questions? Superintendent?
Yeah, again, this was an administrative regulation that we know we don't have to bring forward, but because it's a pretty significant change, we wanted to be very open about it to the board, so.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're doing F9, which is first reading board policy administrative regulation in the 3000 series.
Thank you. As you said, this is the first reading of board policy, and we included the administrative regs for board policy 3311 bids. And this is to revise and update this policy to reflect now that we're a member of, or make use of the California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, or as we call it, CUPCA. And so this is to incorporate those revisions into this.
Okay, any questions?
My only question is, has legal looked at this, or is this just, we're taking it directly from CSBA?
Yes, it's CSBA's
Okay.
policy.
All right, good, fine.
Okay, no action items, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we go to F11.
Thank you, Vice President Hanel. This is a first reading of board policy of the 000 series. Again, this is going to be one of the many items I'm bringing forward as we update our board policies to bring them in line with the recommendations of CSBA.
Any questions? I have a question. And it had to do with a library tech, but I forgot I was going to relate it. Yeah, the LCAT. Are there, we've got a distress letter from, yes.
Vice President, I think you're looking at F11.
I like the library.
This is just a first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Updated board policies.
So then we go, we're on F11?
F10.
F10, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong number. Okay, any questions, discussions? Now we go to F11.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, that's the question I wanted to hear. All right, this is Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP preview. And do we have, take it away.
Good evening.
Vice President Hanel, Superintendent Kitamura, members of the board. Tonight is a preview for you of the LCAP for both elementary and secondary, a draft, so to speak, for you to approve through. You can see that we've streamlined our actions and services this year, and we are still going through it as we get ready for the June 8th public hearing, and then for the final approval at the end of June. So I put it back to the board.
Questions? I had a question. Did you have a question, Ron? Okay, my question is, we've got we have a letter stating that things aren't working that well in our libraries because there's lack of support, technical support from, for example, from aides. Is there LCAP money for that?
So we have been exploring the LCAP dollars around that, but making sure too that we have a balanced budget. So that's sort of what we're maneuvering through right now before the June 8th public hearing.
Okay, because that's kind of a hub as to how well the books get out and how well the staff can function within the book policies and the distribution of books and access to the library. Ron?
Yeah, I'm looking at this going, you know, this is a lot of very practical kind of stuff, and I mean, it's a reflection of, I think, our district and our sites. I think everything's good. The numbers that we're looking at, though, the percentages, and I think it's a great way to proceed. You know, I mean, this to me is real accountability. If we can show this, I think we can, you know, justify things that we haven't done in the past. In other words, we're making right decisions and so on. So anyway, I believe in what's going on here, but the numbers that you've come up with, maybe in our open discussion on the 8th, you could give us the rationale behind why one is 2% increase, one's a 5% increase, and do you understand what I'm saying as far as the percentages? I don't know why, you know, it would be nice to strive for 10%, but probably that's not realistic. But maybe I don't know, anyway, if we could have a little discussion about some of these items, I think that would be helpful for me and maybe the public.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring that back.
Okay, no other questions? Thank you for the report. Meeting is adjourned.